Eevee, the evolution Pokémon. It's known just for that, evolving into different elemental forms. I think it's safe to say that we all have our favorites. Personally, I've always been torn between Espeon and Umbreon. Espeon for its playstyle, but nothing beats Umbreon's design, especially that shiny. Today I have a simple question. Which form of Eevee is the best at solo running Pokémon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four? I'm going to explore these Pokémon by first playing through Eevee's base form. After completing it, Eevee's run will serve as a benchmark for the remaining 5. Before getting into anything else, the overlay looks a little weird. And by weird, of course, I mean better in every way, because I'm going to be using the overlay developed by Scott's Thoughts. If you enjoy the Pokemon solo run format, be sure to check out his channel. After all, it's him who inspired me to start uploading videos in the first place. Generation 3 has some unique limitations for these 6 species because Gen 3 was the last before the physical special split was implemented. The typing of a move determines whether it's physical or special, which provides some unique strengths and weaknesses for these Pokemon. An interesting point here is that the typings of the Eeveelutions themselves mirror the split. Fire, electric, water, psychic, dark, grass, and ice are all designated as special attacks. The only exception to this rule is the dragon type, but all others, normal, fighting, flying, poison, rock, ground, bug, ghost, and steel, are all physical. The fairy typing doesn't even cross my mind because I don't play anything after Gen 4. This first run using Eevee, a normal type, will be the only one today to benefit from stab or same type attack bonus physical moves. Which leads me to a little bit of my own personal flair in the solo running community. I allow myself to include a single egg move on each Pokemon, because of course I do. Today, all 6 Pokemon share the exact same set of available egg moves, with the standout option to me being Curse. On non-ghost type Pokemon, it will reduce the user's speed by 1 stage while increasing both attack and defense by 1 stage. This setup move is going to be of critical importance today, especially when considering the options for the first gym leader, Brock. He is the rock-hard trainer after all, and Eevee will not learn a move that isn't resisted by Brock until level 30. With Curse on my side, however, I doubt I'll need to grind anywhere near that much. Eevee is not a particularly strong Pokemon on paper. Rocking a 325 base stat total, it's fairly balanced with a small bias towards physical attack. Aside from Bite at level 30, it cannot learn a single special attacking move, so I went with an Adamant Nature, increasing attack and reducing special attack. I will also note that this Eevee was created in my lab. Mwahaha, a perfect specimen with near maxed out IVs or individual values, the genes of a Pokemon. I did reduce a few select stats from perfect to give myself a hidden power typing of my choosing. I'll touch more on that once it's obtainable. In this early section of the game, I cautiously made my way through Viridian Forest, saving before any battle that features a Weedle. My Eevee, nicknamed Pickle, cannot knock out opponents very quickly at all, and being inflicted with poison would likely be the end of my poor Pickle. I'm cautious and do a couple of optional battles, clearing the forest at level 10. All of our runners today have the medium fast growth rate, so I'll have a slightly slower early game but level up more quickly later. At level 10, I decided to test the waters against my first rock opponent. Camper Liam in Brock's gym has a Geodude that is 2 levels lower than Brock's and serves as a great litmus test of Pickle's ability. Using Curse, I set up to +5, but with Geodude's defense curls, my tackles are still doing pathetic damage. I get a critical hit on the next turn, bypassing Geodude's curls for about half health. Then Geodude crits me, not once, but twice in a row, so as Geodude falls, Pickle has only 3 HP left, 5 upon leveling up. Sandshrew does not resist my attacks, nor does it seem interested in attacking me, so Pickle 2-shots. I'm successful, but that was really close. I figured I'd have to get pretty lucky to win against Brock, so after popping back to the center to restore my PP, I head back to the gym to test that theory. I try setting up to only +3 this time, testing the waters and trying to conserve turns against Geodude. This does not go well. By the time I knock out his lead, Pickle is back in red bar. His Ace Onix has no problem cleaning up the victory. In the next battle, I try going to only +2, but this goes even worse for Pickle, not even making it past Geodude. Alright, not great, so I head back south to continue training. I go all the way back to Viridian City, defeating the optional rival battle on Route 22 for the last trainer-boosted experience available for me until defeating Brock. I do a little bit of additional training in Viridian Forest, leveling to 13 over the next damage rounding threshold. I'm not going to dive into the mechanics here. All you need to know is that because of how Pokemon games handle math, your Pokemon gain asymmetrical damage increases at levels that end in 0, 3, 5, and 8. Yes, these thresholds still exist in modern Pokemon. Back at Brock, I try for the +2 strategy again, and this time it goes much better. Geodude does manage to crit Pickle once, but I return the favor, and including a single sand attack to reduce his incoming damage even further, Geodude goes down with Pickle at half health. I start against Onix by tossing in more sand attacks. After an absolute slugfest, Onix is in red bar, but Pickle gets overwhelmed. That was so close, but I think I've got this. This time against Geodude, I set up to +3 using 2 sand attacks. He doesn't manage to crit me either this time, so Pickle still has green health as Onix hits the field. 3 sand attacks, and I go for it. This time, Pickle has no problems overcoming Brock's ace, and I'm able to claim my first badge. Phew, what a sigh of relief. I can finally continue with the game. Being able to continue does not necessarily mean that things get easier. Pickle's best attacking move remains Tackle. I did consider using Struggle, but that would involve depleting 90 power points, something that I felt would have taken way too long. Being a physical attacker, I quickly encounter another problem. Poison Point. Longtime viewers of the channel know my relationship with this ability, and during this video, I will discover a new way of trying to avoid it. For now, I'm just gonna have to deal with it, hence the 5 antidotes. Speaking of ability, Pickle's is Runaway. This helps escape wild battles and effects like Mean Look or Arena Trap. In the context of a solo challenge, it is utterly useless. Before hitting into Mount Moon, I am making sure to grab the Hidden Person Berry, which is going to be very useful against the second gym leader, Misty. After completing this cave, I will not be able to get back here until quite a bit later, so I decided to do some additional training now. Once I get to Cerulean City, I'll be faced with 2 paths, Misty or Rival 2. I cannot see Misty going particularly well initially, so I'll be aiming to face Rival 2 first. Throughout the cave, I've been mixing in Curse, trying my best to conserve Tackle PP, because until level 23, it's still my only way to deal damage. Then I run into this Rattata, who lands a critical Hyper Fang. Ouch! I do manage to defeat this rocket, but Pickle is on 7 health, and I am flat out of healing items, a consequence of taking so much time in each battle. There is only one more battle in the cave, but I am not confident. But I don't really have a great option here aside from backtracking, so I just go for it. I get incredibly lucky here, but even with all of that luck, Pickle gets poisoned and faints. The good news? I saved before the Rattata rocket, so I redo his battle, avoiding the crit from Rattata this time, and try Miguel again. I get much less lucky in this battle and end it poisoned on a single hit point. Poor Pickle prevails, plodding precariously through perpetual predicaments. Thank goodness I still have antidotes, or I would have blacked out here. Yes, in Generation 3, poison damage will knock your Pokemon out in the overworld. I grab the Dome Fossil and find myself entering Cerulean City. I defeat the 2 optional trainers in Misty's gym, eking out what little additional egg experience that I can. This brings Pickle halfway to level 20. I want to avoid training in the wild as much as possible, now targeting Rival 2. He leads with a Pidgeotto, and Pidgeotto knows Sand Attack. Pickle takes 2 of them and proceeds to miss 7 times against Bird Brains. 4 hit points for the rest of the battle? Rattata says nope with a priority quick attack. Fine, I'll do some training in the grass outside of town, leveling up to 20. Back in the battle, I've discovered in the past that using setup moves against this Pidgeotto seems to make it want to spam Sand Attack non-stop. I go straight for the damage this time. Pickle does get a little bit beat up, but my accuracy, thankfully, is intact. I set up 1 curse against Rattata as Bulbasaur is looming. The Bulbasaur team is generally the most difficult for physical attackers to face because of Intimidate in later fights, but in this early battle against him, Bulbasaur is by far the most difficult to face. Why, you might ask? Sleep Powder. If it lands, I likely lose. So I decide to take my time against Abra, setting up Curse all the way to +6. This way, Bulbasaur gets 1 chance, and I don't need to risk multiple turns against it. He misses Sleep Powder, and +6 Stab Tackle gets the job done in a single shot. Alright, it was a bit of a lucky victory, admittedly, but I'm moving on. Ahead of me is a TM that's going to completely turn around Eevee's playthrough, but I've got to get there first, and Nugget Bridge is no cakewalk because of Poison Point. I'm inflicted with poison on turn 1 against Nidoran, and as a result, Pickle gets knocked out by the second. I decided to keep the experience whiting out, and in the next battle, first turn, I get poisoned again. I honestly can't tell which I dislike more, Poison Point or Sand Attack. Sand Attack, I'd say, is definitely more frustrating, but Poison Point gives me way more problems in my playthroughs. Despite the early poison, Pickle is successful this time, and the slog continues. Further along the path is another trainer with 2 Nidorans. Poison Point. Greetings, new viewers. Welcome to my poison luck. I keep the experience again because I now know Quick Attack, which is far more valuable than Tackle. I do not get poisoned the next time, at least right away. Obviously, by the end, I'm poisoned again. Okay, 2 more trainers until things get easier. Unfortunately, the first one has a team full of rock types. With the power of cursing, I can smash through them, pull down and defeat Camper Flint, claiming my prize. TM43 Secret Power. Finally! I teach it immediately over Tackle, now sporting a base 70 power normal move, which is augmented to 105 effective power with the same type attack bonus. It has a 30% chance for a secondary effect, typically paralysis in this playthrough. The best part about this move that I only recently discovered? Secret Power, despite being a physical move, does not make contact. As long as I attack using it, Poison Point is not an issue anymore. With that massive upgrade and the additional levels that Pickle has earned over the last section, I should now have no problems taking on Misty. Coming into the battle, there are a couple of noteworthy things. First, the biggest threat, Starmie, is already faster than Pickle, so I have no issue setting up a curse or 2. Second, check out that health pool. Nice. Her lead Staryu seems intent on setting up its defenses, and despite having +2 defense, Secret Power nearly one-shots. The next turn, I use a priority Quick Attack to finish Staryu. Quick Attack as a priority move and Curse actually synergize really nicely here. Starmie comes out, striking with its most powerful move for some pretty disappointing damage, honestly. Pickle responds with a critical hit, one-shotting Starmie. While playing, I cannot express how good this battle felt. Finally, my little Pickle is growing into something impressive. On my way south to Vermilion City, I stop on Route 6 to catch some Pokemon. I'm going to be catching myself 4 Meowths because Meowth has the ability Pickup. Just like my HM cheerleaders, my army of Meowths are here to support Pickle without being involved in the battles themselves. After winning a battle, even when they don't participate in it, each Meowth has a 10% chance to find an item. In FireRed and Leaf Green, the pickup table is focused primarily around berries, which are helpful, but more importantly, is a 5% chance to obtain PP ups, nuggets, rare candies, and what I'm really after, TM10 Hidden Power. While this adds a significant RNG factor to my runs, I feel it really helps to balance out some of the awful movesets that we encounter. For me, a prime example of this would be a Pokemon like Magneton. All I have to say is good luck with Giovanni. The additional time invested in catching Meowths and checking them for items in the menu is the cost of filling that gap in coverage. The base power and typing of hidden power is determined by a Pokemon's IVs, the genes that I mentioned earlier. I want to give my solo runs the best possible chance of success, so I use max 31 IVs, which I then reduce slightly to achieve the hidden power that I want. Perfect Stats gives HP Dark. Pickle here has HP Fighting, meaning that I reduced my defense, special attack, special defense, and speed by a single point each. Pickle will not be needing it until much later, and I'll be sure to let you know when it becomes relevant. On the SSN, I grabbed TM44 Rest from the lower deck and the berries from the kitchen. Before taking on Rival 3, I decided to teach Eevee Dig. I very rarely teach this to my main Pokemon, usually reserving it as a utility move in the overworld for one of my Meowths. In this video, I hope to reinforce why I don't particularly like Dig. Secret Power continues to do great work for Pickle, bringing down Rival 3 without a care in the world. My last challenge in what I consider to be the early game is Lieutenant Surge. He leads with a Voltorb that I just barely cannot one-shot with Secret Power. Dig does have slightly more effective power here, but comes at the drawback of taking 2 turns instead of 1. I take out Voltorb without issue, and Pikachu that follows is a one-shot. Here's where I went wrong. Surge's Ace Raichu has a penchant for setting up Double Team. Using Dig allows Raichu to set up twice before the move hits, which it doesn't. I do eventually hit, but it doesn't do enough, and Raichu knocks out Pickle. In the next battle, I make it to Raichu in similar condition, but this time I'm going all in with Secret Power. The fact that it doesn't make contact is great here too, avoiding static from both Pikachu and Raichu. Things still get pretty dicey with the number of times that Pickle misses, but in the critical moment, Secret Power connects and Raichu goes down. That marks the 3rd badge for the base form of Eevee. I'm around 35 minutes into the run at this point, playing at 4 times game speed. Now, I've gone into fairly granular detail with Eevee so far, so I want to jump back and see how the other 5 handle the early game. I'm going to start with Jolteon because despite a massive overall stat increase, Jolteon is going to struggle even more against Brock than Pickle did. To better understand why, let's compare the base stats of all 6 Pokemon. As I mentioned before, all 6 have the medium-fast growth rate, and their abilities are themed to their typing. Elemental damage-absorbing abilities for the original 3, with Umbreon and Espeon rocking Synchronize, which is, slightly more useful. While Eevee's base stat total is 325, the evolved form's all-sport totals of 525, distributed in different ways. Espeon and Jolteon will have the hardest time against Brock because their physical stats are the worst. Better than Eevee's, sure, but only slightly, and they will not be benefiting from the 1.5 times stab modifier with Tackle. Flareon, on the other hand, has the highest physical attack at 130, but that only goes so far when your only attacking move is Tackle. I foresee Vaporeon being easier simply because of its massive HP stat, and Umbreon being probably the easiest because it's just an absolute wall. Most of these evolved forms have incredible special stats, which are going to do exactly zilch for me until level 16. I'll quickly throw all of the learn sets on screen for you to compare. All of the learn sets are nearly identical, with each Eeveelution learning their elemental move at level 16. Not particularly helpful for Brock, considering Eevee did it at 13. Looking beyond that, Vaporeon gets the best natural coverage of the group in FireRed. Water is fantastic in this game, and Ice covers many of Water's shortcomings. The standout Pokemon for me, though? Espeon, because Espeon gets Calm Mind. In the early game, Espeon is at a big disadvantage, but I predict it will be my fastest runner today simply because of that move. Setup moves are incredibly powerful, and as a solo runner, it completely changes the way I approach these runs. On that note, bringing back the egg move options, I went with Curse for every single Pokemon. I heavily considered something like Wish for Vaporeon or Espeon maybe, but nope. I felt Curse was the answer, hinging primarily on that Brock fight. Jolteon, who I've nicknamed Chocolate because Jolteon is made from lightning, real lightning, is gonna need as much, if not more, training than Pickle did. This early stretch is even more challenging because my only attacking move, in case I hadn't said this 100 times yet, remains Tackle, but without the benefit of Stab. It's so bad that while Pickle could clear Viridian Forest in a single shot, Chocolate needs to stop after only 2 trainers to run back to the center and restore my power points. I complete the forest at level 10 and wanted to check that litmus test against Camper Liam before doing any further training. It goes so badly. I thought that I might have just been incredibly unlucky, but nope, the results of the second attempt are the same. Alright, I do the exact same thing as Eevee, backtracking to the optional rival, who I also lost to once, and because we've already seen this training in Pickle's run, let's jump straight to Brock. I lean more heavily into the sand attack strategy, Jolteon being the second run that I played after Eevee. At level 13, Chocolate is actually able to get a first attempt victory against Brock. A little battered and bruised, sure, but Jolteon's run is about to accelerate significantly. The other Pokemon that struggles the most against Brock is Espeon. With Espeon, I thought I'd be clever and fight the optional rival battle before leveling up in the forest, but this is a mistake. Espeon, who I've nicknamed Psych Out, simply doesn't have the damage that it needs at this level with Tackle. Are you sick of me complaining about Tackle yet? I'm getting there myself. After 3 resets, I'll come back. I make it to Brock at level 13, just like the others, and I get pretty wrecked in my first attempt against Onix. That's a big problem with the Curse Sand Attack strategy. It does rely on some amount of luck, but I still feel like it's the fastest path through this battle. On my next attempt, I barely make it through, but Espeon now has overcome what is likely to be its greatest hurdle in the entire game. For the remaining 3, things get easier. Vaporeon suffers from the same lacking physical attack and defense, but at least has a base 130 HP stat to mitigate that problem. Given the low physical damage output and how close the other battles were, I still trained to level 13 before taking on Brock. This was definitely overkill, and my Vaporeon, Puddle Pup, defeats Brock's ace while still in green health. Well, if Bulk is the answer here, surely Umbreon is going to have the easiest time of the 6. With Umbreon, I only defeat 2 optional trainers on the way to the first leader, exiting Viridian Forest at level 8. I don't bother with Camper Liam either, jumping straight into the Brock battle. At this low level, my first attempt does end in defeat, but that felt really promising. Geodude had near perfect accuracy with Tackle, even after 6 sand attacks. I did decide to do a touch more training, going to level 10 over the next damage rounding threshold, and took on Camper Liam, bringing Umbreon to level 11. Geodude leads with a crit this time. Great start, and my second attempt ends up being worse than my first despite the higher level. In an attempt to reduce turns against Onix, I've also started mixing in a couple of tail whips, and Onix falls with Umbreon leveling up to 12, the lowest completion level yet. That leaves only Flareon, who, while being less bulky, has by far the best physical attack of the group. Tackle is doing way more damage with Flareon. For Flareon, I've decided to nickname it Marion because I had the Ruby of the Sea on my mind. I exit the forest in a similar position to Umbreon, heading to the gym at only level 9. Attempt number 1 does end in defeat, and the other reset you see there was from failing against the optional rival. I decided to train to a higher level, going back and exacting my revenge against the rival. I attempt Brock again at level 13, just like the others aside from Umbreon. Marion has a unique struggle here compared to the others. She's the only one that is weak to Onix's Rock Tomb. There is an interesting AI quirk here though. It tends to see Rock Tomb only as a speed controlling move. If Marion is slower, which Curse does beautifully for me, then Onix will not use Rock Tomb until it sees a knockout damage range. While this AI quirk is helpful to know, this battle is still going to rely on luck. Not a lot, though. In my next attempt, Geodude doesn't go on a rampage, and Marion faces down Onix while still in green health. Our final competitor earns the first badge, and like the other Eeveelutions, the game is about to get a whole lot easier. Even more so for Flareon because it has the best attack stat leading to level 16 where it learns its elemental move. Poison point, schmoisen point when I'm able to get one-shots. In the cave, I continue fighting optional trainers, leveling up to 16 and learning Ember. Honestly, Ember kinda sucks, but right now it might as well be Flamethrower, scorching a path through Mount Moon with ease. After defeating Miguel, I, of course, choose the Dome Fossil. May the Dark Lord bless these runs. Marion enters Cerulean City with another disadvantage against Misty. I'm weak to her water-type moves, but as long as Rival 2 goes smoothly, I shouldn't be too concerned about her. The Rival 2 battle gets real messy, though. I'm not super familiar with the switch logic in this game, but after round 1 against Bird Brains, he switches it out to Squirtle. Squirtle hurts a whole lot, bringing Marion down to only 17 health before taking out the rival's ace. Pidgeotto is back, and I get a super lucky burn, saving my butt from half of its incoming physical damage. I knock it out, leveling up, but that only leaves me with 10 health for the rest of the battle. Rattata's quick attack leaves me at 2 hit points, and Ember does not KO. This battle was mine after the Pidgeotto burn. Even if Rattata didn't also get burned and faint, I could have outsped with my own priority quick attack. Abra is free, so Flareon carries on. After Nugget Bridge with all of our competitors today, I'm going to be making a very slight detour to grab TM45, Attract. This is not a move that I've used much in my runs, and I really need to investigate it more closely. I despise playing against Attract, so surely I can use some of its awfulness to my advantage. I will be grabbing Secret Power once again, and despite Ember being resisted by these rock types, they stand absolutely no chance because of their awful special defense. I claim Secret Power, and not a moment too soon either, as I'm just about to run out of Ember PP. Secret Power with our base 130 attack makes that perceived weakness to Misty pretty much irrelevant. Like Pickle, I am slower than Starmie, so I can set up Curse without worrying about my speed. But I don't, simply mashing A on Secret Power, and while she does bring me down to around a quarter health, this is a decisive victory. If you're curious, yes, every single Pokemon will be catching Meowths in order to find hidden power. I can't use Flareon's outstanding physical attack with my fire moves, so I'm structuring Flareon to be a physical brute with some fiery coverage. I've chosen HP Rock, in my opinion, the best overall physical coverage for the late game. On the SSN, all 6 runners will follow the same path, collecting rest, the berries from the kitchen, and taking on Rival 3. TM44 cannot be obtained once the SSN departs, and I don't want to hamstring myself later into the run. Secret Power delivers an absolute massacre to the Rivals team, and Marion moves on to Lieutenant Surge. There's nothing really to discuss here either. One shot, and then a very comfortable 2-shot against Raichu. Sure, I could have missed because of double team, but I don't, and I earn the 3rd badge at full health. Chocolate was having a really rough time earlier, but just like Flareon, once it learns Thundershock, things get a lot easier. I grab the Dome Fossil, because of course I do, and move into Cerulean. Chocolate has the first type advantage against a gym leader in this video. Even so, I do choose to defeat the optional trainers in Misty's gym because they're fast and easy experience. Alright, this here actually amuses me quite a bit. It lends to just how hard Flareon's physical attacks are hitting. Mind you, Jolteon is 6 levels lower, using a stab super effective Thundershock to dismantle Misty in a nearly identical way to how Flareon's battle went with Secret Power. I ended at around 1/3 health and moved to Rival 2. For Jolteon, I chose a Quiet Nature, increasing special attack and reducing speed. Base 130 speed is way more than what's needed to move first against the majority of the opponents in this game. And looking at Jolteon's moveset, my special attack is definitely going to be my primary attacking stat. This rival battle is going as smooth as you'd expect until Bulbasaur comes in. This is what I meant by Bulbasaur's sleep powder being so strong. Sure, Jolteon can't hit it very hard, but when I sleep for more turns than I'm awake, I end up losing because of that. In the next battle, I use Abra, who only knows Teleport, and set up all the way to +6 with Curse. Sound familiar? Alright, Bulbasaur, you get 1 shot. Okay, fine, because I'm asleep, you get 3 shots, but then when Chocolate wakes up, I hit with Tackle, and this battle is over. I definitely want Secret Power here as well, but Jolteon's powerful special moves can't hit the Geodudes. These things are still pretty nasty for it to face. It's nothing that can't be solved with some cursing, and I claim Secret Power. Between it and Stab Thundershock, Jolteon doesn't struggle against anything at all, barring maybe the rival's Ivysaur on the SSN? This could have gone badly, but at least I have access to a Chesto Berry now to counteract sleep if it came to that. Now remember, I played Jolteon second, and so I did once again decide to teach Dig to my solo Pokemon. Surge is pretty straightforward. My damage output against him isn't great, but he can't really do much to me either. Secret Power is the winning ticket, and despite Dig finishing this battle for me, I'm reminded why Secret Power is so much better, getting paralyzed by static. Yeah, whatever, Surge. Of the 6 runners today, I felt that Espeon was going to have the greatest slingshot effect in their run. While the others have been helped immensely by their stab moves at level 16, Confusion is arguably the best of the lot. The Kanto region is littered with poison types, making the Psychic type feel very dominant. Even against Gen 1 rock types, Confusion feels super effective, facing Hiker Marcos for the first time in this video. He provides excellent experience, and Espeon's base 130 special attack cannot be overlooked. I've boosted it even further, also going with a quiet nature. Espeon's base speed is 110, again being higher than I'll need for most key opponents. Not a single Pokemon is even allowed the chance to do damage to Espeon, let alone threaten it as I carve through Mount Moon, claiming the Dome Fossil once again. The Stab Confusion continues to blitz the early game, taking only 6 points of damage from Rival 2. Despite having this much power already, I'm still going to invest in Secret Power. Confusion is great, but it's not going to solve every problem for me. I teach it before engaging Misty because upon evolving, Starmie gains the Psychic type, which resists my Confusion. This battle against Starmie turns into an absolute slugfest, for the first time activating my held Persim Berry to counteract Confusion from Water Pulse. The chance to paralyze with Secret Power comes through, and eventually Starmie faints. From here, Espeon should be dominant in most major battles. For Psych Out today, I have chosen HP Water. This decision was made entirely because of the Round 2 Pokemon League and 3, I guess, Pokemon that I'll be facing. On the SSN, Psych Out has no problems psyching out the rival, this time taking 8 whole points of damage. Against Surge, I implement the high IQ strategy of spamming A on Confusion and once again not receiving a single point of damage. Espeon has claimed the 3rd badge heading to the mid-game. We've seen what raw power gets us in the early game, but what about bulk? Umbreon doesn't do much damage, but I'll never be taking much either. One of the biggest obstacles to overcome with bulky Pokemon is, you guessed it, Poison Point. I do only a touch of additional training with Umbreon, leveling up to 16 in the Miguel battle. My biggest concern was hitting level 16 before Cerulean. I learned Pursuit, which is helpful, but won't be near as powerful as the other competitor's stab moves. I dome it up once again, choosing to face Rival 2 before Misty in Cerulean. Umbreon's lacking power really shows itself here with how differently this battle goes to Espeon's a minute ago. Because of this lacking damage output, I am simply taking too many turns to knock things out, which seemed fine until Charmander burns me. I may have slightly disadvantaged myself with the naughty nature here, but it wasn't Ember's raw damage that got me, it was the burn. Naughty increases physical attack and decreases special defense. I saw absolutely no reason why I would need 130 base special defense, as the only moves that can hit Umbreon for super effective damage are physical. I leverage Curse in the next battle, setting up to +3, and because of that, I see a successful battle. Slow and steady might just win this race. At level 22, I face off against Misty, and with Pursuit on my side, I have a super effective option against Starmie. It's a longer battle once again, but Umbreon pulls through in one of the best positions that our runners have ended this battle with. Against Rival 3's Charmeleon, we witness the most danger Umbreon has seen since Misty, but obviously this is still a decisive victory. Surge is a bit of a joke until I fail to two-shot and Raichu gets two set up with double teams. This is so annoying, and I watched Umbreon's health slowly fall to 0 while I miss. In the next battle, I crit against Raichu, and he faints in a single turn. Could've led with that. This leaves us with only Vaporeon to catch up. Similar to the Psychic type, the Water type is fantastic offensively in this game. It's not as useful as Psychic, but pretty darn close. In Mount Moon, I even allow my Repel to wear off, fighting 2 wild battles to gain Puddle Pup's stab move, Water Gun, before Hiker Marcos. That's a really easy 600 XP. On the other side of the cave, many of you will be relieved that I picked up the Helix fossil. Puddle Pup is repping the color blue today, so of course praises Lord Helix. Now, I don't have a great offensive option at all for Misty, but I do have Curse, decent special defense, and ridiculous hit points. If I can beat Misty here, Puddle Pup is going to get a lot stronger, so I decided to go for it, cursing all the way to +6. The Staryu seems intent to match my setup with Harden, so I couldn't have asked for a better outcome here. With this level of setup and Water Absorb, which makes her water moves heal me instead of dealing damage, Puddle Pup carves through the second gym leader easily. Defeating her rewards me with TM3 Water Pulse. I teach it right away, now having access to the strongest stab elemental move of our 6 runners after defeating Misty. Along with a 20-point increase to base power, it also has a 20% chance to confuse my target. This move nearly trivializes Rival 2, but for that darn Bulbasaur. Vaporeon is going to be even more disadvantaged against it now that it knows Sleep Powder and Leech Seed. Leech Seed's damage, and therefore healing to my opponent, is based on my max health, which would be catastrophic should it land. I have no better option here than to use a couple of sand attacks, switch to Water Pulse, and hope. I get the luck that I need on my first attempt, but don't worry, as the run progresses, ironically, this Bulbasaur is going to become less and less threatening. Not only will Puddle Pop learn Aurora Beam, a super effective option against the grass types, naturally, but I also have access to TM13 Ice Beam, arguably the best ice move in the entire game. Plus, Venusaur's moveset sucks later, you'll see. Water and ice will not help against other water types, and there are some incredibly threatening ones in my future. In the short term, I'll be relying on Secret Power once again, but I have chosen to give Puddle Pup HP Electric. This should give me the advantage that I need in the water mirror matches later in the game. There is a lot of it, but it's not all good news for Vaporeon. Secret Power is handling the scariest grass type this side of Rock Tunnel, Rival 3's Ivysaur, but Vaporeon is also weak to Lieutenant Surge. Like with Umbreon, I decided to reduce my special defense, but this plays to my late game strategy, hindering me a bit in the early game. Even with a miss and that immediate sinking feeling that follows against Raichu, Puddle Pup pulls through with a first attempt victory. As Vaporeon heads towards Rock Tunnel, I want to take a quick moment to reflect on how our 6 competitors stand against each other. Because of the struggles and admittedly some misplay on my part, Jolteon has actually fallen behind Eevee. Ironically, the Pokemon that had the most perceived disadvantage in this section of the game, being weak to 2 out of 3 gym leaders so far, Flareon is leading the pack. That massive attack stat has helped immensely, but now as we see the move pools become more diverse, I predict a shift in these standings. Particularly, I hope for poor Jolteon, but its coverage is not going to improve for a while. Oh, electric types. While our evolved forms have been completing these early challenges, Pickle has been slowly making its way through Rock Tunnel. Let's check back with Eevee so I can tell you why Dig sucks. Only a couple battles into Rock Tunnel, Pickle levels up to 30 learning Bite. Remember, in Generation 3, this is a special move. A perfect example of why Dig would be so dangerous to use as opposed to Bite is against Hiker Lenny. On the first turn, he hits with magnitude 10, dealing 30 points of damage. If I'd been underground in this moment, that damage would have been doubled. Foolhardy as ever, I decided to test Dig's damage range later into the battle. This final Geodude lands magnitude 8 while I'm underground, bringing Pickle down to 11 hit points. If I'd used Dig instead of Bite against that first Geodude, this would have been a reset. That's even discounting that Dig takes 2 turns instead of 1, and since I'm faster, Bite has a 30% chance to flinch my opponent, like I do against Dudley's Graveler. I'm going to be grabbing TM27 Return, the most powerful normal type move Pickle will get before heading to Celadon. Here, I can complain even more about Dig. My overworld routing requires Dig, so I'm either going to have to buy a second copy from the department store or a bunch of escape ropes. This all costs even more time. I'll even tack on one final gripe with it. In Generation 1, Dig has a base power of 100, then it was reduced to only 60 in Gens 2 and 3. In Gen 4, it was buffed back to 80 base power. Dig in Gen 3, especially in FireRed, sucks. The first battle against Giovanni and the Rocket Hideout will continue to reinforce this point. It deals so little damage to Onix, and it turns out that both it and Rhyhorn are a 3-shot with both Dig and Bite. Except Dig is going to take twice as long, 6 turns. I also make the mistake here of underestimating Kangaskhan. Return isn't really doing outstanding damage, but the Mega Punch that Kanga returns is way more than Pickle can handle. Curse to the rescue. In the next battle, I set up to +2 against Onix, giving me a little more defense and a comfortable 2-shot on Kanga this time around. With the Sylph Scope in hand, which is mandatory in Gen 3, no Pokédoll glitches here, I dig out of the Rocket Hideout, using Pickle. Okay. I feel I've made my point, and I mostly promise, to only complain about Dig once more in this video. Pickle's coverage leaves a lot to be desired, so I'm of course going to be grabbing the coin case. Unless I stick with Bite for the whole game, which, no, the only 2 moves that I can hit ghost types with are Iron Tail and Shadow Ball, both of which require coins to purchase. I decided, I'm in the area, I'm gonna take a shot at Erica. Something to mention here is how I route my EVs, or effort values. If a Pokemon's IVs are its genes, its nature, if you will, EVs can be equated with nurture. Defeating opponents will reward these effort value points up to a maximum of 510 points, or 255 per stat. Every 4 EV points rewards 1 additional point in that respective stat. In Erica's gym, because I'm a physical attacker, I defeat the trainers on the left-hand side of the gym. Bellsprout awards attack EVs, whereas on the other side of the gym, Oddish would give special attack, which are useless for me. These little changes don't account for much, but over the course of a run, it can make a difference with how my Pokemon stacks up in the late game. Alright, let's try Erica. I have a Cherry Berry equipped because her lead Victory Bell loves to go for Stun Spore. I'm just barely able to 2-shot her lead, coming out clean because of my berry. I risk setting up a single curse against Tangela, and despite being at -1 speed now, I'm still faster than Vileplume. Tangela does poison me, which is a bit of a double-edged sword. I am on a time limit now, but hey, at least I can't be paralyzed. At +1 attack, I have more than enough oomph to take out Vileplume, ending the battle in red bar, but without too much discomfort. Before heading to Lavender Town to continue the plot, I always unlock access to Saffron and do a little bit of shopping. Max repels, even though they're less money efficient than super repels, work far better with my routing, and this is the first place that they're available. There's another major benefit to gaining early access to Saffron, but that won't reveal itself until we're playing either Espeon or Umbreon again. So long as you're familiar with the game, the next battle against the rival is quite simple. This battle was available to me as I exited Rock Tunnel, but coming here before having the Sylph Scope wastes time. As a result, you're typically overleveled in this fight, and it's typically a breeze, but this is the first time that the Bulbasaur team features the double Intimidate that makes it so challenging for physical attackers. Both Gyarados and Growlithe have it, reducing my attack by 2 stages as the battle continues. Because of this, I am not able to two-shot Ivysaur, and with Sleep Powder on top of that, I take another reset. I come back in with a Chesto Berry, and I try setting up Curse against Gyarados. I figured this was safest as Gyarados won't be able to burn me, and as I Curse, its Thrash will be doing less and less damage. This costs me more health, however, and by the time I make it back to Ivysaur, he doesn't even bother with Sleep, going straight for the knockout. Alright, this time I only go to +1 against Gyarados, but then forget that Kadabra likes going for Disable turn 1, losing Return. Kadabra takes out Pickle. Fine, +1 against Gyarados, still lose Return to Kadabra because it's faster, but I take it out with a little under half health remaining. Return is still disabled, so I guess this is the one time Dig is useful in battle because I can use it to stall out the disable timer a bit. Return is back, and I don't get the knockout. Thankfully, my Chesto Berry saved me from the first sleep, and Ivysaur missed the second. Pickle is finally successful in a battle that I generally don't even consider in my runs. I clear the tower, saving Mr. Fuji, and proceed to Silphco back in Saffron City. I always come to floor 5 first, grabbing the card key to give me free access to the entire building. I will be doing a fair amount of item collection in here, gathering every vitamin and every other high-value item that I possibly can. This will allow me to buy Pickle a few additional vitamins and still have money to buy coins for Shadow Ball. Yeah, spoiler alert, Shadow Ball is what I'm going to be going for. Iron Tail sucks almost as much as I promised I'd only complain about it once more, so never mind. Iron Tail is not great though. I also, when collecting these items, clear Sylph from the top down after grabbing the card key on 5F. This gives me quicker access to the free healing bed on 9F, and then I can teleport down to 3F and collect the remaining items leading back to 9F. The first and second floors have nothing of importance for me today. While I'm here, I feel it's a good idea to see how I'm stacking up against the rival 5 battle. Very, very badly. Pidgeot is a 2-shot, barely, and then Gyarados picks me apart. A hard no here, so I dig out and head to the department store to buy and sell vitamins. Remember, each EV stat is maxed at 255 points. Vitamins increase your EVs by 10 points each, but cap at 100. Yes, even if you use, say, a protein with 99 EVs in attack, it will only increase by 1 instead of 10. This vitamin cap is why I always try to clear Sylph as early as possible so that I can use vitamins to hit this cap of 100 earlier and continue gaining EVs past that with targeted training. For Pickle, I buy 4 for a total of 6, which is a mistake. There's a protein in the Safari Zone that I'm going to be grabbing in just a moment. The rest of my money will be saved for Shadow Ball. Speaking of the Safari Zone, I'm grabbing a few additional items just in case. I grab TM11 Sunny Day, which is for niche cases against the Round 2 champion, and then I grab the Quick Claw. Since I'm using Curse, a 20% chance of striking first regardless of my speed seems advantageous. And there's that protein I mentioned. Whoops, that was a waste of 4,900 Pokédollars. On the topic of targeted training, while in Koga's gym, I decided to go back and fight the 2 Tamers. Not only do they have great experience yields, but Arbok provides 2 attack EVs each, with Sandslash providing 2 defensive EVs, both of which are going to be important for Pickle. Maybe I could have thought this through a little more though, because these trainers are not kind to my Pickle. Edgar's Sandslash takes me out, and this hurts even more because the last time I saved was before that Rival 5 attempt. I should have taken the blackout, but I might have a way through Tamer Edgar. This takes the form of one of my favorite moves in this generation. Are you ready, everyone? Say it with me. Substrats, best strats. Substitute sacrifices 1/4 of your max HP, creating a decoy from that lost health. This decoy will block damage, and most importantly in solo challenges, status conditions from my opponents. Dropping a decoy against Edgar this time, he cannot paralyze me, and I have a much easier time finishing him off. With Substitute on my set, I actually decided to skip the other Tamer, going straight for Koga. Well, somebody forgot to heal. That's unfortunate, but keeping my decoy intact, I'm brought down to a quarter health with +2 attack and defense behind the substitute. You can see Coughing's smokescreen fail here. I love substitute. Muck is next, and despite it going for minimize, I hit through and take it out in a single shot. The following Coughing falls too, bringing out his ace Wheezing. Unfortunately, my curse has made me slower, and his first use of Sludge breaks my decoy while Return brings him to red bar. Koga heals and heals again, then hitting with Sludge, but Pickle clings on to consciousness with 7 hit points. Return ends the battle, gaining my 5th badge. Now, with access to Surf outside of battle, I could go towards Cinnabar Island, but it requires a little bit of off-the-beaten-path routing to get a Pokemon that I can use for Surf. I usually would grab the Gift Eevee on top of Celadon Condominiums and evolve it to Vaporeon in cases like this, but the much more efficient play is to go against Rival 5 again. After all, I'm quite terrified of Blaine. Substitute saves Pickle from Feather Dance right out of the gate. Gosh, this move is great. It just keeps getting better too. As Bird Brains falls and Gyarados hits the field, my decoy also blocks Intimidate. Attack intact, Gyarados is a 2-shot, but I do get intimidated by Growlithe. I play this poorly, trying to get set up against Growlithe, but it is objectively a bad idea. As a result, I take a boatload of damage and Venusaur is able to finish me off once again. In the next fight, Pidgeot goes way worse, but I did take extra time to set up with Curse. Another foolish choice, and I reset against Venusaur once again. After another reset, I figured it out. Hey, I should set up against Alakazam, because it's terrible in this battle. Alakazam only knows Future Sight as an attacking move, so I can take a few extra turns laughing in Venusaur's stupid face while Sleep Powder drifts impotently across my decoy. Rival 5 is defeated, and I can now grab the Gift Lapras to use not only for Surf, but Strength, Waterfall later, and even Rock Smash, even though Rock Smash is not required in these playthroughs. Remember how the previous Giovanni battle was unkind to Pickle? Well, in this one, he has 2 Pokemon with Poison Point. I came in with a Pecha Berry and decided to set up against Nidorino since it's probably the least threatening Pokemon on his team. While setting up, he breaks my decoy, poisons me, but the berry solves that one. Here's a flaw about Substitute. It does not block all status conditions, only the ones directed at me from my opponents. If, say, I make contact while attacking Nidorino with Return, Poison Point is fair game. Of course, I'm poisoned again. I get so stinking close to a victory here, but because of the accumulated poison damage, Pickle falls apart at the last moment. In my next attempt, I throw caution to the wind, going all in with Return. I 1-shot Nidorino and 2-shot Nidoqueen. Poison pointed again, but this time at least my berry is still around. Kangaskhan is a 2-shot but lowered my defense, setting me up for failure once again to Rhyhorn's Rock Blasts. Alright, I try again with the same strategy. This time, turn 1 Poison Point against Nidoqueen. Berry saves and Poison Point again while knocking her out. I do get super lucky though, landing a critical against Kangaskhan and along with a Rock Blast miss from Rhyhorn, I just barely scrape through this battle. I freaking hate Poison Point. A cool trick I can use here is to heal using the PC in the director's office. Depositing your Pokemon, then withdrawing it serves to fully heal it, similar to going to a Pokemon Center. I'm using the move function here to save on a little bit of time. Oh, right, I need to use that second copy of Dig that I purchased to get out of here. Not complaining, mostly. Alright, it's time to take on another gym leader with Pickle. Sabrina should be an absolute cakewalk, so I go straight into the battle against her. Kadabra, 1-shot. Mr. Mime, 1-shot. Venomoth, what? What fraction of a sliver of health is that? At the end of the damage calculation, all damage is multiplied by a random integer between 85 and 100, then divided by 100, effectively dealing a range between 85 and 100% of its maximum potential damage. The first roll was a mid-range, the second was a lower range, and the third return against Venomoth takes it out in a single shot. Cool, right? Alakazam is last, outspeeding and hitting a stab critical psychic, one-shotting me. Less cool. In the next battle, Alakazam uses Calm Mind and Pickle's stab return, non-critical, gets the one-shot. Not a big deal or anything. Fun fact, you can dig out of Sabrina's gym. Definitely not complaining here. As a field move, dig is fantastic. Just don't ask me to use it in battle. That's now 6 badges for Pickle, so let's check out this section of the game with the Eeveelutions. Marion, my Flareon, was leading the pack after Lieutenant Surge. As another Pokemon with which I'll be heavily relying on physical moves, I wonder how it will handle Poison Point. In Rock Tunnel, I'm faced with a fair amount of risk against the rock-ground types, being weak to both of them and not having a move that isn't resisted by them either. This lone Geodude hits magnitude 7, a mid-range, and it does substantial damage to Marion. Probably should have bought more healing items. By far, the most threatening trainer here is Dudley, the self-destructing hiker from Gen 1. After the first Geodude, I level up to 30, learning Bite like Pickle did. Bite then one-shots the following Geodude and Graveler. No worries. I'm, of course, grabbing TM27 Return again, but after that Dudley fight, I do want to mention that Flareon's base 95 special attack is not to be scoffed at. Flareon was the Pokemon that I struggled most with when choosing a nature. I went with Naughty again, so appropriate for the Ruby of the Sea, increasing attack and reducing special defense. Physical defense, particularly in the Round 2 League, is going to be of utmost importance. This will make both Lorelei battles scarier, but she only has one Pokemon that knows Earthquake in Round 2, not like Bruno where 4 out of 5 of his Pokemon have it. The route itself mirrors Pickle, taking on Giovanni in the hideout with a fair amount of ease. These rock types are no match for Marion, and Kanga is an easy 2-shot with Secret Power. I grab the coin case. Marion will also be pursuing Shadow Ball, and while the battle against Erica plays out, I want to make a note about Secret Power. With how absolutely god-awful Poison Point is, unlike with Pickle, I'm going to hold on to Secret Power for much longer. This will be the case for all of the runners moving forward. If they need to use a physical move, it'll be Secret Power until I'm clear of the majority of Poison Point users. I can always use Curse if I absolutely need to do more damage, but I can't outplay Poison Luck. As a fire type, Erica is no issue for Marion at all, falling with minimal thought from me. So, this is how Rival 4 usually goes. 1-shot, 2-shot, 1-shot, 1-shot, 1-shot. Oh, poor Pickle. At the top of the tower, I'm going to exercise a bit of extra caution. If Cubone's mama here decides to hit a critical Bone Meringue, I doubt that I would survive it. It takes 4 turns to bring her down, and yes, this is a mandatory fight that I cannot run from. Running only resets the battle. Heading to Sylph next, I once again do my full collection loop in this building. All of our runners today, aside from Espeon, will be doing this collection in order to afford something from the game corner. I check out Rival 5 next. I have much higher hopes for Marion than Pickle. But that doesn't last long. A disappointing 3 hits to take out Pidgeotto, and I can't even take Blastoise out of Green Bar. I've seen enough. I'll be back. I'm focusing on buying proteins as my primary attacking stat will continue to be physical. I was playing with a bit more experience by the time it was Flareon's turn. As such, I'm going to be doing targeted training down Cycling Road. With my vitamins capped, I'm focusing only on trainers that I know have attack EVs, allowing me to get as far above that 100 threshold as possible before hitting the total cap of 510. Because of the mandatory battles, you'll never be able to fully optimize a solo Pokemon's EVs unless you transfer EV reducing berries from another game. Fuchsia City is exactly the same as Pickle, including the Safari Zone. Marion is having a much easier time handling this tamer even without the use of Substitute. I do defeat both, and because I'm kissing level 43, I defeat one more trainer to go over the damage rounding threshold. Coughing have pretty awful special defense, so I try my luck with Ember. Red Bar is nice, but that's not a one-shot. I switch over to Secret Power, dealing slightly less damage, but also getting the paralysis. Coughing burned my Pecha Berry too, so I'm slightly worried here. Burned. Good word choice, me. Muck has less physical defense than special defense, but uses acid armor, increasing it by 2 stages. I take it out, but I was poisoned by sludge. Interestingly, the second coughing goes down to a single secret power. That must have been a max damage range. His Ace Wheezing hits with sludge, and combined with poison damage, Marion faints. Round 2. Fight! I set up 1 curse, and at 61 speed, I will only be outsped by wheezing, but coughing is kind enough to consume my Pecha Berry on the way out. Even at +1, I missed the one-shot against Muck, but after some healing and fortunate accuracy from Marion, I take out it, the second coughing, revealing wheezing once again. I'm in a much better position, and a quick 1-2 punch deals with Koga's ace. I figured, considering my track record with fire types against Lorelei, that Flareon would need more training overall. While I'm still capable of gaining EVs, I want to make them count, going for the Fighting Dojo to soak up even more attack. I emerge at level 45 over another damage rounding threshold. Alright, 6 levels higher? Let's see how Rival 5 goes this time. Now, I'm aware that I could teach Return here for additional damage, but I am adamantly holding on to Secret Power until I'm done with the darn Poison Point users. At minimum, I'm saving it for Giovanni just ahead, and probably Cool Trainer Warren as well. I curse once against Growlithe to bring my attack back to neutral, and this battle is beyond easy this time. But someone was stupid. I didn't heal, so I battle Rocket Grunt 41, according to Scott's overlay, in a seriously disadvantaged spot. I defeat the lead Cubone with 1 health remaining. Marowak smirks as it levels Marion. My last save was before the rival. Thankfully, this was an easy battle. Ha! Not so easy this time, number 41? Against the boss, I set up a single curse and go for it with Secret Power. Even with this added precaution, Nidoqueen lands a Poison Sting, which of course poisons me. Even without the Pecha Berry to save me, this battle was mine. Get lost, Giovanni. Jumping straight to Sabrina, this one is a foregone conclusion. One-shots on the psychic types, and Venomoth actually remains to be the thorn in my side. Interestingly, Secret Power and Ember are dealing around the same amount of damage. Gosh, Flamethrower would solve so much. Alakazam tries his stab psychic crit shenanigans against Marion too, but unlike Pickle, she tanks it like a champ and wipes out the 6th gym leader. So if that's what big physical attack looks like, how about special coverage? Like I mentioned earlier, Puddle Pup gets the best natural coverage with water and ice. I don't learn Aurora Beam until level 36, so I do have to remain cautious against grass types until then. While my physical attack leaves a lot to be desired, I was confident that Pup's bulk would at least give me a layer of safety. Aside from against Martha. Wait, why did I say that name? Anyway, Rock Tunnel is a joke. I level up to 30 against Dudley, learning Bite, and converting to a fully special set, plus Curse. Remember too that Vaporeon has one of the most powerful stab moves at this point in the game in Water Pulse. I mean, Eevee with Return, I suppose, but really, no, Vaporeon with Water Pulse. Giovanni gets washed away with my bulk proving to be more than adequate to deal with Kangaskhan in the back. Obviously, Erica is a terrible idea right now, so I head to Pokemon Tower and Rival 4 instead. Water and dark coverage is all that I need, even taking down Ivysaur in 2 hits. I had a Chesto Berry just in case, but that flinch worked even better. In Sylph, I play a dangerous game. For Vaporeon, I'll be targeting primarily special attack EVs. The Magnemite line provides these, and the defensive EVs from the Coughing line are also appreciated. It's a good thing I'm one-shotting here, because I am weak to the Magneton. This could have turned sour pretty quickly. I level up to 36, learning Aurora Beam over Water Gun and rounding out my coverage very nicely. I do my item collection, defeating trainers like Juggler Dalton, who sports a Kadabra for more special attack EVs. Rival time. Of the 3 we've seen so far, I'd say Vaporeon is in the best position to succeed here. Then Venusaur poisons me as I hit it down into Red Bar. Uh-oh. Venusaur's ability is Overgrow. When it's below 1/3 HP, it gains a 1.5 multiplier to Grass-type moves. This is way more than Puddlepup can handle. In the next battle, my Chestoberry saves me from the first sleep powder, and by some miracle, I wake up just before getting knocked out on the second one. I'm left at 61 HP, but my damage output against Gyarados is so low that there's no way. Dragon Rage wrecks me. I'm starting to see a bit of a trend here in these runs, so let's move on. I buy Calcium for my special attack, saving the rest of my funds to get Ice Beam as early as possible from the game corner. Before heading south to Fuchsia, I don't want to forget about Erica, and with my shiny new Ice move, I'm not too concerned. As I mentioned before, I hug the right wall this time because this side of the gym has special attack EVs. Alright, moment of truth. I was confident enough that I didn't even bother switching to a Cherry Berry, and I'm not punished for it at all. A clean sweep of Erica's team, and Puddlepup is ready to head south for a massive upgrade. For completing the Safari Zone, I'm rewarded with Surf, boosting the effective power of my primary stab move from 90 to 142. I equip a precautionary Pecha Berry, but I think that might have been wasted time in the menu. Surf is too much for Coughing to handle, but with its higher special defense and minimize baloney, Muck does take a few more turns. The result is the same though. Coughing 2 also falls, and the Ace Wheezing holds on in Red Bar. He poisons me, finally consuming my berry, but even without it, this battle was mine. I finished Koga having taken only a single hit through the entire battle. Oh, and that hit was a critical if you couldn't tell by my remaining health. I know I couldn't. Now, a case could be made for Vaporeon to head south immediately for Cinnabar before coming back to Saffron. But I'm a stubborn old goat sometimes, and I want to train in Sabrina's gym. The rival this time, despite not being the smoothest fight ever, provides no real threat for Puddlepup this time. Gyarados does the most damage, but once he's down, I don't lose a single additional hit point until the Giovanni battle. Being against him with a special attacker feels so much better, as you can see by my berry. Including a critical hit against Kangaskhan, this battle is a series of one-shots. Now with access to Sabrina's gym, I do more training, again targeting those juicy special attack EVs. The Ghastly line provides them as well, and an argument could be made to train in Pokemon Tower. I feel the experience yields just aren't worth it at that stage of the game. Against Sabrina herself, I lead with Bite against Kadabra, getting the one-shot. Despite it being super effective, Surf is actually dealing more damage, so after I misclick on Curse, I use Surf to wash away her remaining Pokemon. Even Alakazam falls to a single shot. This is the power of good special coverage in FireRed. And the best part? Vaporeon isn't even my most powerful special attacker. Oh, well hey there, Espeon. On my journey through Rock Tunnel, the only thing that could possibly be considered a threat are the Slowpokes. Confusion rips apart everything else, and I want to remind you that this is only a base 40 power psychic move. The Slowpokes are, threatening only in the sense that I can't one-shot them. Funny enough, my resisted confusions are dealing more damage than secret power. Oh, Psych Out. I cannot wait to get to the other side of this tunnel. Psych Out will be the first variation in routing that we've seen so far in this section. After grabbing the T from Celadon Condominium, I gain access to Saffron City. I typically clear out the Rocket Hideout first, but not today. After grabbing Fly, I shoot straight over to Saffron City because Psych Out is about to get her most powerful stab move. Yes, this early. On the southern row of houses is Mr. Psychic's house. He gives me TM29, you guessed it, Psychic. I'm actually going to teach it right away over Swift, which is utterly useless at this point. I am keeping both Psychic moves because Psychic itself is way overkill for most opponents in this section. It only has 10 PP, so I also use some of those little blue vitamins to help enhance it to 14. Strong PP joke here. No PowerPoints. Children. Psychic leaves no margin for error against Giovanni. I think, maybe, if Kangaskhan had managed to land a critical Mega Punch, I might have been in trouble. But, as you can see, I didn't even bother healing before entering this battle. So, here's the Erica battle. Her strongest Pokemon have the misfortune of being dual-typed as Grass and Poison. Poison being weak to Psychic. As if I wasn't already going to be one-shotting these three, this is incredibly strong, and Psych Out is only going to get better. Here's the Rival 4 battle. It's another series of one-shots, including a resisted Psychic on Exeggcute, and a cheeky use of Secret Power against Kadabra. Really though, this is much more my style of play. There's just something so satisfying about being this strong. As a kid, I loved RPGs because if I sucked at them, I could simply go grind somewhere and suddenly I'm unbeatable. Confusion is still more than comfortably taking out most of these filler opponents. Even that aspect of my coverage improves as I level up to 36 and replace it with Psybeam. In Sylph, Psych Out is the only one not grabbing a bunch of additional items, but I am still gonna grab the rare candy on 10F. It's guarded by a Machoke. Laughable. I shouldn't though, this Machoke has gotten me more times than I'm willing to admit. Alright, so maybe Espeon breaks the trend against Rival 5. I feel this fight could have gone much better at level 40, but even so, at level 39, Psych Out is making waves. With super effective Bite, Blastoise brings me down to only 9 hit points, but after that, I don't take a single additional attack. Exeggcute even throws a Stun Spore at me, which misses, but I had a Cherry Berry in reserve. Remember, Alakazam's only attacking move is Future Sight, so this battle is mine. Giovanni as well is barely worth mentioning. One shot, nearly a one-shot against Kanga, and he responds with Mega Punch for like a quarter? A third? Yeah, bye Giovanni, good riddance. Because of what I'm going to earn at the end of this gym, I don't bother doing any additional training. Absolute EV optimization is far less important here because I'm about to earn access to Calm Mind. I go through the gym on a straight, well, as straight as you can go in this gym, path to Sabrina. Then I make a terrible mistake. Synchronize, shared by both Espeon and Umbreon, is also shared by Kadabra. I go for the physical attack Secret Power, paralyzing it, and Synchronize mirrors that paralysis right back onto me. The game is gonna try and make me work for Calm Mind, but I did still have that Cherry Berry. Nah. I switch to Psychic, but end up using a bunch more Secret Power throughout the battle. For the first time, that darn Venomoth goes down to a single shot. Well, the first time. Against Alakazam, she sets up Calm Mind, so physical Secret Power is the best choice. I paralyze myself again, but this battle belongs to me. For defeating Sabrina, I'm rewarded with TM4 Calm Mind. I teach it immediately in the place of Curse. That move has served its purpose. I buy my calciums and head straight south to Fuchsia, not battling a single optional trainer. If Psych Out needs additional training, I want to do it in more experience-dense areas. Like I said, with this setup move, optimizing my EVs is far less important. Super bulky Muck. One shot with Psychic. Ace Weezing, one shot with Psychic. That's about all the explanation Koga merits. I defeated him the second I arrived in Fuchsia, so I do still need to clear out the Safari Zone. On the way, I am definitely going to be teaching Substitute once again. There won't be a single other move that is more valuable to me that I don't already have. The only other moveset change I'll be making with Psych Out is teaching TM10 Hidden Power, which, because of the RNG associated with it, I also try to do as late into my playthroughs as possible. This is simply personal preference to attempt to mitigate the fluctuations caused by RNG. Speaking of TM10, sometimes my Meowths don't find it until way later in the game. Other times, like with Chocolate, I find it incredibly early. Like I mentioned though, despite how much easier it would have made Rock Tunnel, finding it this early is incredibly lucky and unreliable. So, I won't be teaching it for a good long while. The HP typing I chose with Jolteon is HP Water. Take a look at that learn set. We don't have a setup move in the traditional sense, but there's something else I can use to boost my damage in the late game. That's why I'm making sure to duck into this Pokemon Center on Route 10. This unlocks it as a fly location, and I might have to come back to the power plant via this fly location later. Okay, as promised, this is the last time that I'm gonna dig on Dig. I'm following a slightly different route than normal in the cave, avoiding a Geodude encounter. This trainer is slower to face, having 2 Pokemon, but Secret Power and Dig versus Magnitude? No thanks. It's a bit of a terrifying process, still relying heavily on Curse and actually avoiding Dig as much as I can because going underground would make it deal 4 times damage to Chocolate. That problem is about to go away as I level up to 30 learning Double Kick. A fighting move, super effective against Rock with a fraction of the risk. Dig in battle is just not viable for most Pokemon. Some of you may be thinking, but what about Ghastly or super effective damage against Wheezing? Nope. In Generation 3, all of those Pokemon have Levitate, so ground moves cannot hit them. Levitate also makes Earthquake, probably one of my favorite moves in the game, feel kind of impotent in the late game. Alright, I'm done talking about Dig. Unless, of course, you want to talk about a certain cake-obsessed Dig from another game. Double Kick is going to be responsible for recovering my Rock-type opponents for the foreseeable future. In combination with Curse, I shouldn't encounter anything that these 2 moves can't overcome. I mean, until I enter the league, the only Rock types that are mandatory are this Onix, 4 Rhyhorns from Giovanni, and 1 more Rhyhorn on Rival 6. None of which are overly scary. At +4, I took a fair few hits from Onix, but Onix's attack is terrible, and I beat my way through the first Giovanni battle easily. Now, Jolteon doesn't strictly require a move from the game corner, but I do want to keep my options open as I progress to the late game, so I will focus on acquiring TM24 Thunderbolt. Normally, I'd call it the best electric-type move, but today I have another plan. As I grab the coin case and make my way to Erica's gym, I feel I have to be honest. Chocolate was behind the pack at Surge due to some misplay on my part and the general difficulty of its run so far. That's not gonna get better in this section. I face Erica with my best damage-dealing move, remaining Secret Power. It's dealing around 1/3 to Victory Bell, and while I'm saved from the first Stun Spore with my Cherry Berry, not so much the second time. I try setting up Curse against Tangela, her least threatening member, to improve my damage. I lose a bunch of turns to Paralysis, and this ends up just being a bad plan overall. Chocolate faints. That's all I needed to see. I'll come back here later. Against Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower, I'm faced with an interesting battle. I start so dominantly, but then Growlithe survives on like 1 hit point. This marks a steady decline to defeat. Kadabra lowers my accuracy, and between that and the 2 stages of attack that I've lost to Intimidate, I take way too long against Ivysaur, being put to sleep twice, and fall. In order to do anything else in this playthrough, I need to make it through this battle, so I keep trying. I tried setting up against Gyarados, maybe not the best strategy, but it does work in my favor this time. Unfortunately, Growlithe then roars me out because of said setup, and I'm forced to switch back in. I do not count this as a breach of my rule to only use my starter because I lose both my setup and a turn in battle. With my now neutral stats, I somehow managed to get through the rest of it. Totally undeserved. I didn't even equip a Chesto Berry, but a win is a win. As I walk upstairs to start progressing through the rest of the tower, I realize another mistake. I didn't stop in Saffron to shop, so now I have no repels. Ugh, sigh. It's not like the bad news stops once I hit the top of the tower either. The Marowak that was so scary for Marion is going to be even more scary for Jolteon. I try to set up Curse to increase my damage and reduce hers, but she crits with Bone Meringue, and the first of the 2 shots almost takes me out. Ouch. In the next battle at +1 defense, Bonemerang is still doing terrifying damage. Then, +1 secret power deals a quarter? Maybe? This is not looking great. In my next attempt, Marowak decides that she'd rather leer at me than attack. After a focus energy, she misses Bonemerang, and her final headbutt doesn't deal much damage, so I do take her out. Gotta love that random AI. That was so lucky, and I honestly have no idea how I could have handled this differently. At level 38 in Sylph, I take on Rival 5. The result? Not good. At only base 40 power, Thundershock remains my most damaging move. Stab, 4 times super effective Thundershot doesn't even one-shot Gyarados. Even Alakazam tags me with damage. That's how badly Chocolate is doing in this battle. No way, man. I'm out of here. Chocolate is going to be a special attacker, focusing on calcium from the department store. With how poorly this Pokemon is feeling right now, I decided to do additional training in Koga's gym, facing Juggler Nate for special attack EVs, a very rare play for me. Will Thundershock be enough to overcome Koga? Well, one way to find out. It's not exactly an auspicious start as I fail to knock out Coughing. Against Muck, I decided to take a gamble. While he's a pain setting up with Acid Armor and Minimize, I thought I'd try my luck setting up a bunch of Curse. I go all in, up to +6, now slower than his entire team, which feels odd as a Jolteon. My thinking was that if I hit and take out Muck, it'll all work out. I'd consider myself fairly lucky to have even made it to this point against Muck though, and once he's fully set up, Chocolate gets broken down by Toxic Sludge. I try again going for all-in offense, but this ends up being an even worse course of action, and Chocolate falls once more. It's time for a bit of training, but there's something very important that I haven't noticed. Thundershock isn't my best available move. I should have taught Shockwave, which I got from defeating Lieutenant Surge. To the Jolteon fans, I'm so sorry. I did not play this one well. Unfortunately, special attack EVs are much more difficult to target in this game than physical attack. The best option would likely be using the Versus Seeker outside of Vermilion City to defeat Magnetons on repeat against Engineer Bernie, but from a time perspective, this would be incredibly slow. Instead, I'm facing a lot of the Coughing and Wheezing on Cycling Road, gathering defense EVs. The experience yields are good, and I have found these EVs to be very helpful on other electric types, particularly when I'm hoping to have Substitute block Rock Tombs later in the playthrough. Speaking of the endgame, I also shoot down and around Route 15, collecting TM18, Rain Dance. This, in combination with Thunder and HP Water, will be the final moveset that I'm gunning for. Oh, and Substitute, obviously. Given how Koga went before, level 45 still felt inadequate, so I decided to head back to Sylph and try Rival 5 again. Thundershock still can't one-shot Bird Brains, but it's really close. I get hit with a Feather Dance, lowering my attack by 2 stages, so Venusaur at the end of this battle is pretty much impossible. Hey, at least Gyarados is a one-shot now. Knowing that -2 attack is a death sentence against Venusaur, I attempt to set up Curse against Alakazam. I take some concerning hits, and at +4 attack, I have no option but to proceed. I face Venusaur at around half health, but I get put to sleep, Future Sight hits, leaving me at 2 hit points, and Razor Leaf ends the battle. My dear, dear Chocolate, I'm so sorry. I implement the same tactics, but this time I'm not starting to Curse from -4 attack. I reach +6, and I go for it. Once again, Future Sight takes a chunk out of me while I sleep, and while looking back on this battle, I'm darn near yelling at the screen. Chesto Berry, man! I do end the battle successfully, but my goodness. Apparently, after not playing Pokemon for a few months, I was pretty rusty. Now again, I could have been doing more damage had I taught Return, but I could not see any encounter with Poison Point users going well had I made that switch. Against Giovanni, I fall back on Curse, Secret Power, and Double Kick. Chocolate is begging me to take greater advantage of her outstanding special stat, but currently, I just can't do it with the coverage I have. In fact, the only special coverage that I get at all is because of Hidden Power Water. Gen 3 learn sets were not kind to many Pokemon. Like with Vaporeon, I'm going to be doing additional training in Sabrina's gym now that I have access to it. Jolteon obviously needs it, and the special attack EVs will be useful soon enough. Of our 6 runners today, I would say that Jolteon struggles the most with being able to deal effective damage to opponents for the majority of the game. Sabrina's lead Kadabra loves to set up with Calm Mind, so I tried leveraging Curse to my advantage once again. Aside from Alakazam, I still outspeed her entire team after one Curse, and I one-shot her lead. Mr. Mime hangs on, being a big old pain, but I take him out. Wait, her? It's the same result against Venomoth, 2 shots. It goes down without issue, but then even Alakazam, famously defensively frail, hangs on with a sliver from +1 secret power. Come on, Chocolate! The sheer amount of just bareleys that this playthrough has had, this is brutal. I am victorious, but every single win with Chocolate has been hard fought. I'm now 16 levels higher than my last attempt against Erica. Surely my odds have improved. I'm still playing this one conservatively. I use a Cherry Berry to get a free turn of setup against Victory Bell. I am not losing this battle again. Even at -1 speed, I nearly triple her remaining Pokemon. Tangela falls to a single shot, and Victory Bell follows. Well, hey, I think this is Chocolate's first decisive victory against a gym leader. Let's just ignore the fact that I'm incredibly over-leveled right now. Here's where Chocolate hits a turning point. After that battle, I have just enough money to shoot up to the game corner and buy 80,000 Pokédollars worth of coins. I invest them into TM24 Thunderbolt, increasing my effective power from 60 to 142, more than doubling my damage output with my electric attack. Finally, with an electric move that isn't absolutely awful at this stage in the game, Chocolate zaps Koga's team without issue. What a difference that made. Muck was the only one to survive a shot, and that was just barely. I'm really hoping that this was the catalyst needed for Chocolate to pave the path to its peak potential. That leaves us with one more Pokemon to catch up, the bulkiest of the 6, and I'm curious if Slow and Steady really will win this race. Dudley has been a common battle to discuss in Rock Tunnel today, so I'll use him to show Umbreon's progress. I'm not even bothering healing. None of these Pokemon can hit me very hard at all. Between Curse, Secret Power, and Stab Pursuit for the rock types, Umbreon might not be moving fast, but she's showing no sign of slowing down either. Focusing on my physical attacks, grabbing Return is an obvious choice. Down in the hideout, there's an item that every single other runner has picked up, but Umbreon is the only one that's going to get some real use out of it. The black glasses increase the power of dark-type moves by 10% while held. Yes, it's only 10%. This again changed to 20% in Generation 4. Like Espeon, Umbreon can learn Psychic, and I'm honestly kicking myself for not already having it in the hideout. It would be dealing more damage than Stab Pursuit, even with the glasses equipped. I'm relying on Curse strats to bring down Giovanni, but Psychic would have made it a lot easier. Just look at it though. Umbreon is unyielding. Because of the poison types on our team, not grabbing Psychic before Erica would be super foolish, so I quickly duck over to Saffron to pick up TM27 and teach it immediately. Instead of backtracking to Erica right now, I push forward to Rival 4 in the tower. Dark and Psychic actually cover each other fairly well, and I'm able to punch my way through this battle without any issues. Remember when I was playing with Espeon and I made fun of this Machoke on 10F? Well, I'm just gonna casually eat those words because it's among the most threatening Pokemon Umbreon faces in this entire section. Psychic brings him to Red Bar, and he retaliates with a stab super effective Revenge. Umbreon takes the single biggest hit that it has taken thus far, but it still doesn't even bring me to Red Bar. This Pokemon is an absolute wall. By the time I'd played Umbreon, I'd wised up a little bit with these Eeveelutions, and after my item collection in Sylph, I exit directly, skipping my usual attempt against Rival 5. Instead, I take on Erica, and with those couple of additional levels plus Psychic, I have no issues. Sure, I'm not able to one-shot any of her Pokemon, but even so, I'm under no threat. That was an easy 4th badge, and I'm definitely going to be grabbing the coin case once again as I plan on making Shadow Ball a part of my late-game strategy. Umbreon is the only hidden power that I haven't discussed to this point, going with HP Fighting. Funny enough, HP Fighting is going to be covering the exact same problems that HP Water is covering on my special attackers. Beyond those Pokemon in the Round 2 League, I should have no issues with physical coverage, making sure to max out on Protein. With how the other runs have gone, I also did a bunch of training on my way down Cycling Road the first time. I'm targeting the same trainers that Flareon did, soaking up as many attack EVs as possible. I also target both of the Tamers in Koga's gym, just barely missing out on level 43 before facing Koga himself. Psychic takes out his lead Coughing in a single shot. Muck, on the other hand, looks like it'll be a 3-shot? To avoid putting him in heal range, I switched to Feint Attack, which I learned while training. It ignores accuracy, so minimize all you want, buddy. Psychic also fails to one-shot his Ace Weezing, but my Pecha Berry saves me from Toxic, and I complete the battle without breaking a sweat. Now, I could head straight to Rival 5, but instead I'm going to do a touch more training at the Fighting Dojo. This is definitely more dangerous for Umbreon given my weakness to the Fighting type. The most threatening part here is Hitmonlee's high jump kick, but he didn't use it, so I level up to 45 and laugh my way through Hitmonchan. Alright, Rival 5 time. Now that I've upgraded to Feint Attack, my Black Glasses actually give it slightly more effective power than Psychic. Good show! I'm still going for Psychic though because of its 30% chance to lower my target's special defense. Anything that's going to help me take less turns. In my runs, I always try to face the rival team that will give me the greatest challenge. I was really unsure of who to pit Umbreon against, but as I watched Charizard nuke 3/4 of my health, I'd say I made the right choice. Even so, this battle is mine. Against Giovanni, I have Psychic, so I'm not worried about Poison Point. But I'm so low on PP right now that I switched to Feint Attack. This was a mistake. I should have used Secret Power, because despite being a special move, Feint Attack does make contact. I'm moseying my way through the battle, soaking up a stab critical Mega Punch from Kangaskhan at -1 defense. I wouldn't say that Umbreon shrugged this off, but considering the threat behind that hit, it was pretty underwhelming. Maybe I spoke too soon though, as Rhyhorn's Rock Blast hits me once, twice, and 3 times down to 1 HP. The move ends there, and I'm able to claim victory. That was as close a call as Umbreon has seen. I jump straight to the battle with Sabrina, where my Dark typing is kind of game-breaking. Across her entire team, she has only 3 moves that can actually hit me. Future Sight on her Psychic types, and either Gust or Leech Life from Venomoth. All 3 of these moves are going to be dealing laughable damage, and Mr. Mime can't hit me at all. Needless to say, Umbreon claims her 6th badge with ease. Phew, alright, let's take a quick moment to breathe. Stand up, stretch, and if you're enjoying this action, take a moment to like the video. It really helps me out. Also, I would love to know which Eeveelution is your favorite and why. Let me know in the comments. All of our runners have now obtained 6 badges, so let's see once again how they're stacking up against each other. All I can say is, wow. Poor Jolteon. Granted, it has been the most difficult of the 6 to work with so far. Even Eevee has felt more solid to this point. I feel that's largely because I'm forced into using Jolteon's physical stats, which aren't really much better than Eevee's, and Jolteon isn't gaining the benefits of Stab with Secret Power. While Flareon led us into this section, it has fallen behind Espeon and Vaporeon because, well, that's the plight of Fire and Electric types, honestly, in Kanto. In Kanto, not Encanto, though that's a good movie. At least with Flareon, though, I had the physical attack to back it up. Umbreon is looking pretty solid in the middle of the pack, but there's still a lot of playthrough to go. The most challenging battles are still ahead of us. All right, Pickle, show us the path to victory. I have 2 more badges to obtain and 1 more rival battle before getting to the Pokemon League. I know that Eevee is going to require more training, so I clear all of the trainers in Blaine's gym. They reward mostly speed Eevees, but are more importantly decent experience yields and a fair amount of money if you're feeling a little cash poor at this point. This first battle kind of sucked, so I'm actually going to pop over to Cycling Road to train there first. It's Pickle's turn to target those attack EVs going down the route. As a curse user, speed is only of mild importance. I also clear the Fighting Dojo with plenty more attack EVs in there, and I make the journey south from Pallet one more time to face a single additional trainer. Oh, look! I'm taking advantage of Runaway. Repel would have been better, but hey, small victories. Fisherman Donald here has a bunch more attack EVs for me with all of these Seekingses. Now I'll continue my training in Blaine's gym, as most of the attack EVs that are worth the experience are now cleared from the map. This training is not kind to Eevee, and since I'm saving all of my money for Shadow Ball, I'm pretty skinny on healing items. This means plenty of trips back to the Poke Center. After the last battle, I'm a little over halfway to level 53. While this isn't unreasonably low for Blaine, his ace is level 47, his team is going to be really nasty for Pickle to face. His lead Growlithe hits me with Intimidate, so no matter what I do, I will start this battle at -1 attack. There are no white herbs in this game. Also, his Fire Blast breaks my decoy instantly, so I go for an attack instead? I do one shot and then test the same idea against Ponyta. It's the same story, a broken sub, and one shot with return. The latter 2 Pokemon are far more challenging, starting with Rapidash. I can knock it to red health, and Rapidash misses with Fire Blast. Even so, I'm not feeling hopeful here. Arcanine joins the fray, hitting me with another Intimidate. Pickle deals a third, maybe? And Arcanine takes me out. Just east of Cinnabar are a couple more trainers with the Goldeen line, so I face them leveling to 53. 1 level will not tilt the scales, so I continue training. I revisit Cycling Road again, now clearing every single trainer instead of just the ones that I want to. This is one of the last dense areas of trainer XP on the map, and if push comes to shove, I might just have to go back and grab that Versus Seeker to rebattle some of them. At level 55, I take another shot at Blaine. I know better than to waste health on decoys, knocking out Growlithe and Ponyta quickly. Rapidash is still hanging on with a healthy amount of red bar. Arcanine is last, and 2 returns knock him to red bar, which is unfortunate to see. This means I'm putting him into heal range, adding even more turns that I have to try and avoid attacks. Pickle faints again. It seems, though, with a max damage range that I can just barely one-shot Rapidash. That's incredibly helpful. Arcanine is still far too powerful, but at least with some luck, I think I can win here. I attempt a couple more times, but it seems that the amount of luck I need might be more than what's reasonable to hope for. I decided to dip into my rare candies using 3 to level 58. I sweep my way to Blaine's ace, hitting a critical return, bypassing those Intimidates and one shot, not having taken a single hit. Huh. Well, okay then. In Gen 3, after defeating Blaine, you will be approached by Bill. This will unlock the first section of the Sevi Island plotline, which is required for the Round 2 leagues. With a Round 2 finish in mind, I always am a yes man here to avoid backtracking later. If you say no, don't worry. Bill will wait in the Cinnabar Island Poke Center for you to return. On top of avoiding backtracking, this also provides Pickle with more training, which I clearly need to be doing. These battles aren't without risk either for poor Pickle, as my heart sank watching the effect of Wheezing's self-destruct. Luckily, I one-shot Muck, so this wasn't a problem. With that, I'm ready to take on the final gym leader, an individual who has not been kind to Pickle thus far, Giovanni. But first, more training. I wasn't sure if I still had EVs to gain, so I targeted the trainers with attack EVs first once again. I will be defeating all of the trainers in this gym. This training wasn't exactly a cakewalk either. Cool trainer Samuel, the king to Warren's queen, ends up being terrifying because of, drumroll please, Poison Point. I am victorious, but after poison damage, Pickle is left at 2 hit points. Alright, time for Warren himself, the mandatory mini-boss in this gym. I take a much more conservative approach, setting up 2 curses, then going for the sweep. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am not afflicted by Poison Point in this fight. Yes! With him defeated, it's time to see how difficult the final gym leader is going to be. Giovanni leads with Rhyhorn. I can use this to my advantage because the AI gets a little confused when it's facing a decoy. Rhyhorn is trying as hard as it can to lower my speed, but behind a decoy's scary face is completely ineffective. Silly Giovanni, I'm doing enough speed lowering on my own, going to +3, but still missing the one-shot. Okay, while he heals, I'm gonna go to +4. All of his attacks are physical, so my +4 defense is also immensely helpful. Even Nidoqueen's Stab Earthquake doesn't break my substitute. Nor does Nidoking's, but because Return makes contact, I'm poisoned again. This should be fine though. Dugtrio finally breaks my decoy, but Pickle breaks him, and I face the final Rhyhorn. Stab +4, resisted Return, gets the job done. With that, I collect the 8th badge, and Pickle has only one more mandatory trainer to face before the Pokemon League. Before that, I'm gonna fly back to Celadon City to do a bit of shopping. I have the cash that I need to obtain TM30 Shadow Ball. I teach it immediately over Bite, finally converting Pickle into a fully physical attacker. Ghost moves are physical in Generation 3, and Shadow Ball also has the advantage of not making contact. With hindsight, I think pursuing it sooner may have been a wise choice. Now, it's time to take on Rival 6. In this first attempt, I'm really just feeling out the battle, missing knockout ranges, adding 1 turn of Curse, missing another knockout, but while keeping my decoy up, I'm reasonably safe. As Growlithe faints, his final 2 Pokemon are faster than Pickle and have dangerous attacks. Alakazam elects to set up with Calm Mind. Yes, his final Pokemon hits the field and I'm still protected. Razorleaf breaks my decoy and I knock Venusaur down to Red Bar, which is also in his Overgrow range. He moves first, hitting an Overgrow boosted Stab Razorleaf, but Pickle takes it like a champ, ending the battle on the next turn. That wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it'd be. Pickle is ready to move on to the league. While clearing the gate guards, I had a realization. I forgot to pick up the HM for strength back in Fuchsia. Aw man, I was definitely a bit rusty playing these runs. I don't clear a single trainer on the way through Victory Road. Although I assumed Pickle would need to, I want to see how well she performs at her current level. Outside of Indigo Plateau, I pick up an additional Lumberry and Max Elixir before heading in. Before we get into these league battles though, let's catch up with the 5 Eeveelutions. Flareon doesn't have the greatest matchup against these last 2 leaders. The first league member, Lorelei, is also a substantial threat. I decided to clear all of the trainers in Blaine's gym. If I'm unsure about my grinding requirements, this is a usual spot for me because after you defeat the leader in a gym, you can no longer face the trainers inside. While Blaine is a fire mirror match, he can't actually do much to Marion. My ability Flash Fire not only absorbs fire damage, but then provides a buff increasing my fire damage by 50% for the duration of the battle. I will not be using fire moves though. I set up 3 curses so that I'm at +2 attack taking out Growlithe. I wanted the additional setup so that once Arcanine's Intimidate hits me, I'll still be at +1. Then I had a change of heart against Rapidash, setting up even more. I face down Arcanine with +3 attack, and because of that setup, he's trying to use Roar, which has negative priority. Secret Power gets the one-shot. All of our runners will be saying yes to Bill here, and I won't mention it again. While completing that section, Marion levels up to 52, finally gaining access to a better fire-type move, Flamethrower. Flamethrower is going to be very important for me in just a moment. I'll jump straight to the battle with Giovanni, which I'm admittedly a little worried about. While that worry is well-founded because I'm weak to every member of his team, Flamethrower is able to do some serious work in this battle. At level 53, 54 by the end, I'm just barely not dealing enough damage with Flamethrower. I miss too many one-shots, taking a little bit too much damage in return, and I'm sad to say that his final Rhyhorn's Stab Super Effective Earthquake ends the battle. It never feels good fainting to a Rhyhorn. I tried again, but this time it's an even worse result. I try mixing in a turn of Curse, and this also goes quite poorly. Alright, I'll do a little bit more training. While having some attack EVs in here, Giovanni's gym primarily features defense EVs with pretty good XP yields, and before I know it, I'm leveling up to 55 in preparation for Giovanni. I mentioned these defensive EVs because just like for electric types, they can be really useful against late-game opponents with a Pokemon that's weak to Earthquake and Rock Tomb. Alright, Giovanni, let's see how things go this time. I outspeed and one-shot his entire team all the way to his final Rhyhorn. I take it to Red Bar and it lands a scary face, reducing my speed by 2 stages. But I'm still twice as fast. This battle belongs to me, and Marion claims her 8th badge. Against Rival 6, I very much need to feel out the battle again. Pidgeot goes down without much issue, but Rhyhorn barely survives a resisted flamethrower, adding even more damage to Marion. Yes, despite it being resisted, it is more effective than neutral bite. Blastoise comes out, and despite the lucky paralysis that I get, this battle is looking pretty hopeless. Blastoise's best attacking move in this battle is Water Gun. Yeah, Water Gun, but especially once he's in Torrent range, it's more than Marion can handle. Pidgeot does not know Sand Attack in this battle, so the only move that I really don't want to see is Feather Dance. I set up 3 uses of Curse and go for the damage. This time, Flamethrower crits against Rhyhorn, and I'm in a much better place for Blastoise. Plus 3 Secret Power deals around 3/4 to it, and then that stab super effective Torrent boosted Water Gun gets me again. Well, I know of a move that should dramatically improve my odds here. I fly over to Fuchsia City to teach Substitute. Every single one of our runners today will be making use of this move. I consider it to be the single best move for solo challenges because it's so versatile and most Pokemon can take advantage of it. Pokemon like Caterpie, Ditto, Wobbuffet, for example, cannot. Back in the battle, I hide behind my decoy as much as I can anyway. Pidgeot seems to really love getting criticals in this attempt. At +4, I'm behind a decoy, but I have only 10% health remaining. Flamethrower misses the one-shot against Rhyhorn, and even +4 Secret Power isn't enough to take out Blastoise. That's another reset. In the next battle, I come in with a Citrus Berry to give me another 30 HP to play with. At Blastoise, I'm in pretty rough shape, and +4 Secret Power leaves him on a sliver of health. I get the paralysis so I can outspeed and finally see Blastoise brought down. Growlithe misses. Oh, come on, there's no way I win here. Exeggcute puts me to sleep, hitting a Solar Beam for pathetic damage. Marion wakes up, and I'm moving on to his final Alakazam. It goes for Psychic, and yeah, down I go. I get to +6 in the next battle, in green health behind a decoy after my Citrus Berry. I really want to be protected against those big hits later in battle, setting up a new decoy against Rhyhorn. Decoy blocks, and Blastoise faints. Growlithe goes for Ember for the first time in this run, activating Marion's Flash Fire. But at +6 attack, I'm not going to be using Flamethrower. I set up a new decoy, blocking Exegcute's Sleep Powder. Alakazam is last, and my decoy gets melted by a powerful Psychic, but Marion is safe and ends the battle. Phew, that one was a bit of a doozy. I'd probably have been better off training to level 58 for better damage ranges, and that battle would not have been so sketchy. Like with Pickle, I skip the trainers in Victory Road and head straight to the League to try my chances. Oh, Chocolate. Let's hope that I can finally start taking advantage of how powerful you really are in this final stretch. I'm once again clearing all of the trainers in Blaine's gym. After the purchase of Thunderbolt, Chocolate is pretty broke, and I will need cash for more repels and healing items. In this first battle, I leveled to 52, trying to learn Thunder. I sat for a moment trying to figure out if I wanted to commit to that strategy right now. I decided, no, I want to keep my options open. TM25 Thunder is located in the power plant, plus I have the option of using mushrooms at the move reminder on 2 Island should I need to learn it multiple times. The reason I wanted to keep Thunderbolt for now is that I still have no real option against rock ground types aside from double Curse Kick. Thunderbolt is finally taking advantage of Jolteon's impressive nature-boosted 110 base special attack, one-shotting both of Blaine's unevolved Pokemon. Rapidash as well falls in a single shot. Arcanine clings to consciousness in Red Bar, and its retaliatory Fire Blast feels like it almost bounced right off of me. Blaine tries to recover with healing items, the big cheater, but this battle belongs to me. Jumping ahead to the final gym using a single curse, I can make it through Warren with relative ease, which did fill me with hope for the battle against Giovanni. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I nailed this battle on the first attempt, but it could have gone sideways really fast. I set up all the way to +5 against his lead Rhyhorn. An advantage of Chocolate's high speed is that the AI is going to put a lot of effort into trying to speed control me. Now, you might be concerned that I'm now slower than a team of ground types who all know Earthquake, but check this out. Dugtrio's stab super effective Earthquake deals 20 damage. Outta here. Nidoqueen's attack is higher, stab super effective EQ deals 23 damage, leaving Chocolate at 29 HP. Outta here. Nidoking is his best physical attacker. Stab super effective EQ deals 26 damage, leaving Chocolate at 3 hit points. Get out of here. And this right here is my favorite part. At -6 speed, as low as I can go, barring paralysis, I still almost double Rhyhorn's speed. Double kick ends the battle. Gosh, you'd almost think that I knew what I was doing. Rival 6 time. Stab super effective Thunderbolt makes Bird Brains go away. I curse a few times against Rhyhorn, going to +3, and take him out with double kick. With my health this high, the AI does not see the chance to one-shot me, so Gyarados sets up using Rain Dance while Stab 4 times super effective Thunderbolt electrifies him. At -3 speed, Growlithe is the only opponent that I still outspeed. T-Bolt one-shots. Alakazam as well does not see the KO, going for Disable, which misses. It would have disabled Thunderbolt, which actually would have been fine. Secret Power lacks the damage to one-shot, ends up getting disabled itself, and after taking a Psychic, I have 48 health for the incoming Venusaur. He sets up Growth, Secret Power does sad damage, and Razor Leaf ends me. Well, heck, this time I'll try going to +5 against Rhyhorn, but now that I'm slower than Growlithe, and he burns me, having my attack and neutralizing all of that additional setup. This is another loss. I took a moment to contemplate my options here. Now that I've completed the gym challenge, I decided it was time to start restructuring Chocolate's moveset to teach Hidden Power. I have had it in my inventory since Surge, but since it's incredibly unreliable to get it that early, I generally save using TM10 until after I've completed the gym challenge. It's very rare in a playthrough that I don't have it by this point. I'm no longer concerned about setting up with Curse. T-Bolt for Pidgeot, HP Water for Rhyhorn, T-Bolt for Gyarados, and Growlithe that follows. All one-shots. Then I have even better news. Thunderbolt also one-shots Alakazam. Aside from that quick attack from Bird Brains, I haven't taken a single hit as his final Pokemon hits the field. All of my moves are resisted by Venusaur, but 4 uses of Thunderbolt outdamages the rival's ace, and Chocolate is ready for the league. In Victory Road, I hadn't healed after the rival battle because I didn't intend to battle any trainers, but I mess up my movement and end up battling cool trainer Carolyn, whose team is stacked with grass types. Grass types that I can't even deal neutral damage against. The power of Chocolate's Thunderbolt is real though, and only Parasect manages to survive hitting with Slash. I'm brought to only 20 HP, half of my remaining health, but I do make it through. Jolteon's true strength is actually being allowed to shine through a bit now that I have options beyond Thundershock and Double Kick. All of our runners will skip training in Victory Road initially. These trainers aren't going anywhere if I need to come back. Chocolate does have one more stop to make, flying over to that Poké Center I mentioned on Route 10. I surf south to the power plant where I'm going to be grabbing TM25 Thunder. Now Chocolate is ready for the league. Not breaking with tradition, Umbreon too will be facing all of the trainers in Blaine's gym. Based on how the others had done before her, the Eeveelutions seem to require this additional egg experience on the way to the endgame. Against Blaine, I knew that I'd be facing a lot of turns in this battle, making sure to bring a Rostberry. It saves me from Growlithe's first burn, but then he immediately burns me a second time. I'm just gonna reset here, there's no point trying to play that out. I'm actually having a fair amount of trouble in this battle, barely even making it to Blaine's Rapidash. Next, saying to heck with setting up, I use my special moves, making it back to Rapidash in a much better position. I take it down over 3 turns with a little under half health remaining for Arcanine. Arcanine lands a Fire Blast that burns me, and then for a little insult to injury, crits with the next one. Alright, it's time for a change in strategy. I'm not fully capitalizing on Umbreon's bulk right now, so I train more on Cycling Road, leveling to 52 and learning Moonlight. It will heal me for half of my health, depending on the weather. Sunny Day will increase that to 2/3, but other weather will reduce it to only 1/4. The only weather that I'm really gonna see is against the Round 2 champions Tyranitar, so I'm not too concerned about these weather mechanics. Time to try Blaine again, and for the first time in this video, I'm able to actively heal myself in battle. But then I run into a different problem. I forgot that the AI will always try to use Roar against you if your setup hits +3. Lapras is forced out. That's a reset, but now I member.
Oh, I member.
I set up to +3, well, +2 attack because of Intimidate, and because Roar has negative priority, I can take out Growlithe despite being slower now. I set up once more against Ponyta using Moonlight to heal, and he burns my Rostberry away, so I'm feeling a little exposed. Rapidash is a one-shot, and I decided to play a bit safe against Arcanine, going for Moonlight again. You idiot. Arcanine knows Roar too. No, I'm playing this one out. And man, you want to talk about a messy battle? I get burned trying to stall out his Fire Blast PP with Moonlight, but now I'm dealing pathetic damage. Blaine heals, I run out of Moonlights, and after way too many turns, Umbreon is defeated once again. Now, I'm smarter though, right? Not so much it seems. I try setting up against Ponyta, his weakest member that does not have Roar. But Ponyta lands a stab critical Fire Blast at the worst possible time, and because I'm slower, I cannot recover. I revert to setting up against Growlithe, getting back to Arcanine and landing a +2 secret power before being roared out. Why I hadn't deposited my team at this point, I could not tell you. It's another super messy slugfest, but after a nice special defense drop while using Psychic and not getting burned this time, the damage starts tilting back in my favor. Blaine runs out of healing items, and Umbreon finally sees victory against the 7th leader. I'm not committing to a fully physical set yet, jumping straight into the battle with Giovanni. I like the flexibility of Psychic, and I'm still a few bucks short of affording Shadow Ball. I set up against Rhyhorn, taking some damage, but I mean, come on. Giovanni's only mean to inflict me with a status effect is Poison Sting from his Nidos, and there's no way that they're going to be using that. At +5, I can sweep through his team easily with Secret Power. Sure, the Rhyhorns take 2 shots, but I didn't even get close to feeling the need to heal with 1 Moonlight. That leaves Umbreon with this Rival 6 fight, which has actually been fairly difficult for each Pokemon so far. I want Bird Brains out of the way as quickly as possible. Getting hit with a Feather Dance really sucks. Against Rhyhorn, I set up twice, but I wanted to ensure that I remained faster than Execute. So long as I'm not afflicted with a status condition, I shouldn't have any worries here. Throwing in a quick Moonlight here and there, Umbreon is an absolute bulldozer. Slowly, but undeniably, crushing the rival's team. The end of the battle made me chuckle as I watched Alakazam fruitlessly set up Calm Mind over and over as if it would make any difference. Technically, he can hit me with Future Sight. Yeah, I'm not worried. Umbreon takes a first attempt victory. In Victory Road, I lied. Umbreon does do a touch of intentional training here, aiming for level 58 over the next damage rounding threshold. Umbreon's run was the second last that I played, so I had a decent idea of how the leagues might stack up based on the others. I then make one final stop in Celadon to purchase TM30 Shadow Ball. With that, Umbreon is ready for round 1. What's that saying again? Leave the best for last? Well, get ready for some speedy narration because both Puddlepup and Psychout are not going to struggle much in this last stretch of the gym challenge. Because Puddlepup is unable to rely on a setup move, I am going to continue training with her. Not too much though, this coverage paired with my bulk is feeling pretty stinkin' strong as the playthrough has progressed. Here's the Blaine battle. Stab, super effective Surf. One shot, one shot, one shot, and one shot. Okay, bye Blaine. After completing the Sevi Islands, I have just enough cash to shoot back to Celadon to buy TM13 Ice Beam. The only Pokemon that seems threatening to me at all in this section is going to be Rival 6's Venusaur, and this is going to be a big help against him. I have no reason to keep Aurora Beam, teaching it immediately. Here's the Giovanni battle. Stab, super effective Surf. One shot, one shot, one shot, one shot, and wait, what? One shot. Ha, had you going for a second there. All right, the threatening battle. Rival 6. Helix, give me strength. Super effective Ice Beam brings down Pidgeot in 1. Venusaur does not see the one-shot, setting up growth as Ice Beam deals around 3/4. Bye-bye biggest threat. Rhyhorn, one-shot. Against Gyarados, my best move is neutral Ice Beam, and it looks to be doing around half. Just barely, as it seems, as Gyarados locks in at like 1 hit point. But I also froze him here. Oh, don't worry, buddy. I'm laughing with you, not at you. Gyarados was also kind enough to set up the rain for me, so after Growlithe faints, I hit Alakazam with one final stab, rain-boosted Surf for the one-shot. This was an absolute cakewalk. Apparently, I can't remember how I played these runs very well, because with Puddlepup, I also did a touch of training in Victory Road. I did play these runs last year after all. I mean, it's January right now as I'm scripting this, but that excuse feels the most justifiable. Yes, I played them last year. Just like Umbreon, I'm going to go over that next damage rounding threshold at level 55 instead of Umbreon's 58. Curse is officially useless for Vaporeon. Honestly, it has been for a little while. I quickly hopped back to Fuchsia City once again to teach Substitute. As I've mentioned before in this video, I like keeping my options open. Sometimes though, I just know that I'm going to end up needing a particular move. Now, Psychout is the only remaining runner that we need to catch up with, which is not going to take long. Psychout is the only runner today that's going to skip training in Blaine's gym. I don't need money, I don't need EVs, I don't need XP. Using the Poké Quiz mechanic, I can make a beeline straight to the man himself. I have a Rostberry just in case, setting up to +2 with Calm Mind as Growlithe hits a nasty, critical Fire Blast, leaving Psychout in red bar. With my hand forced, I go for it. One shot, Arcanine gets sent in next. One shot, and one shot. I'm not entirely sure that +2 was necessary. Against Giovanni, I dial up the disrespect a bit. No setup, and I don't even bother using the more powerful Psychic move. Psy Beam tears through his entire team, mindlessly mashing the A button. Cool beans, rival time. I set up a substitute for a little safety, then a single Calm Mind against Pidgeot. My decoy is broken, so fine. +1 stab Psychic one-shots. Blastoise gets taken to red bar, but he just sets up some rainfall. Oh noes! Psybeam takes him out. Rhyhorn and Growlithe both fall to Psybeam, and I switch to resisted Psychic for Exeggcute. Also a one-shot. That leaves the Psychic Mirror match, but the force is strong with this one. Alakazam gets wrecked, and Psychout is ready for the league. As Psychout makes her way through Victory Road, let's pause once again to see how all of our runners are stacking up after completing the gym challenge. It is with the greatest pleasure that I can inform you that Jolteon has pulled ahead of Eevee. Barely, but I see this gap widening in the leagues, especially in round 2. These are not easy battles ahead of us. The gap between the middle two, Flareon and Umbreon, has also widened, but Umbreon has a distinct advantage over Flareon in these coming battles. That boils down primarily to typing, as fire types have a very rough time in both leagues. Fire and electric types suffer the most in round 2. There's a lot that can still change in these standings. Vaporeon and Espeon, though, feel like they're in a league of their own. The match between them is going to be a great demonstration of setup moves versus good coverage. Now that we know where we stand, let's jump back to Pickle to take us through these leagues. Lorelei is the tip of the spear. As always, I'm starting the fight by feeling it out a little. The stab return deals over half to her lead Dugong, and the retaliatory Ice Beam deals a little under a third. That's not gonna be a winning strategy, but luckily Cloyster is next. In round 1, you can generally rely on it to do something silly, so I set up a decoy. In the turns required to knock her out, she sets up Hail. Weather damage does bypass my decoy, and I won't be able to set up a new one once this breaks. Luckily, Cloyster's dive does not break it, so I move on to Slowbro protected from Yawn, which, seeing the KO, she does not go for. Super effective Shadow Ball fails to knock her out, and Pickle faints. In the next battle, I tried setting up once with Curse, dealing almost 2/3. I take out Slowbro, but I'm exposed for Lapras, and because of my -1 speed, I'm slower, and Lapras takes me out again. This time, I will be taking the whiteout. Information obtained, Pickle needs more training. I fully clear the trainers in Victory Road. By the time I defeat the final juggler, I'm halfway to level 69. Nice. A quick note, I do not defeat the double battle with Nidoking and Nidoqueen. That would involve using a Pokemon that isn't Pickle in battle, and since there are no mandatory double battles in FireRed, I have no exceptions to my rule of only using my starter in battle. Back in the battle with Lorelei, I do not bother setting up Curse, but I will again make sure to establish a decoy against Cloyster. Shadow Ball is now a comfortable 2-shot on Slowbro, but I know I won't survive Lapras if I don't have a decoy. Unfortunately, Slowbro keeps breaking it, so I'll just move on to Lapras. No surprise here, Ice Beam takes me out. In the next battle, Dugong freezes me turn 1. Right then, I can't afford to take this much damage this early, but what I can do is play out the battle and white out once again. That's right, I'm keeping the XP from every knockout now. In the next battle, I make it back to Slowbro, but because she can't see the KO range, she goes for Yawn. That's more like it. Surprisingly, it seems that even Lapras doesn't see the KO, using Confuse Ray to no effect against my decoy. She does break my decoy, but for the first time, I'm moving on to her final Pokemon. Because I didn't set up, my speed is intact, outspeeding and hitting super effective Shadow Ball against the frail Jinx. Lorelei is defeated. Time for Bruno, and Pickle has a type disadvantage here. Even so, Bruno is kinda dumb. I'm gonna use my decoy to avoid excessive damage and the speed drops from Rock Tomb. I'm doing enough of that on my own with Curse, setting up to +4 behind a decoy before going on the offense. Unfortunately, in Red Bar. I trade my decoy for Hitmonchan, but then Hitmonlee comes out and Brick breaks Pickle. I try again with less setup, and while I survive Hitmonlee's hit and knock him out, there's no way I make it through this. Machamp outspeeds, which feels really bad by the way, and takes out Pickle once more. 3 similar attempts later, and I'm going nowhere, so I decided to dip into my rare candies. I use 6, leveling up to 75 over 3 damage rounding thresholds. I don't bother with the decoy against Onix, setting all the way up to +6, then using Substitute. Hitmonchan Sky Uppercut is not able to break it, so I'm protected against Hitmonlee. He does break it, and out comes Machamp. Great news, everyone! At +6, he doesn't see the KO, going for Bulk Up. With his defense at +1, I was worried about not dealing enough damage, but Pickle gets a critical. Oh yeah, Onix doesn't crit me back, so his Stab Earthquake merely bounces off, and Pickle has defeated Bruno. With Shadow Ball on my side, I was hoping for a straightforward Agatha. I established a decoy because Agatha is notorious for her status shenanigans, and I'd like to avoid the Intimidate from Arbok if I can. Her lead Gengar goes down, but Golbat survives in Red Bar. I'll risk a single turn of Curse here because one-shots feel much safer. Arbok's Screech falls ineffectively on my decoy, and she's out of here. Agatha's Ace Gengar goes for Hypnosis to the same effect as the others, and +1 super effective Shadow Ball takes her out. Yes, that leaves only the Haunter, who also uses Hypnosis. Goodbye, Agatha, defeating her on my first attempt and leveling to 76 right at the end of battle. Lance, though, scares me. I tried going full aggro against him, but missed the 2-shot on Gyarados. Despite the heal, I do take him out with a critical on the next turn, but Aerodactyl that follows is going to prove more than Pickle can handle. I'm probably gonna have to do some amount of setting up in this battle, especially because Gyarados comes in first, guaranteeing an Intimidate, leaving me at -1 attack from the start. I have no way to avoid this, and Gyarados is consistently breaking my decoy, so setting up here is going to be really challenging. By the time I make it to Aerodactyl, I don't have the HP I need to continue. In the next battle, I managed to get to +2 attack, but that still isn't enough to take down Aerodactyl. I do knock him out, but then Dragonite comes out with a stab outrage that Pickle obviously isn't surviving. I think that setting up against Aerodactyl makes the most sense because he only has physical moves, whereas Gyarados is hitting with special or fixed damage moves. It's so annoying that I barely can't 2-shot him, adding more damage to Pickle. I brought a Citrus Berry this time, hoping that that little bit of additional HP would make the difference. Turns out, not so much. +2 is still barely missing the 1-shot, and Pickle faints again. This should be an easy solution though, right? I used 2 more rare candies, going to level 78 over the next damage rounding threshold. No mucking about with Gyarados this time, 2 stab returns does the trick. I would have loved to see +2 Shadow Ball 1-shot Aerodactyl, but while setting up he triggers the 10% chance to Omni Boost with Ancient Power, increasing all of his stats by 1 stage. That's rough. I make it to Dragonite in the best shape yet, so he crits with Stab Outrage for a little bit of insult to injury. After another attempt, I cave, using another 2 rare candies for level 80. I set up twice and get my decoy in front of me before taking down Aerodactyl. Dragonite's Outrage is hitting way too hard to not be guarded against it. Unfortunately, +1 is not enough. I'll have to squeak in 1 more turn of setup to have a chance against him. Between Omni Boosts and Criticals, I have a heck of a time against Aerodactyl, but it seems at level 80, Dragonite does not see the 1-shot. He goes for Safeguard, and then +2 Stab Return brings down Lance's Ace. 2 Dragonairs remain, but I'm not out of the woods yet. After surviving a Dragon Rage from the first, the second hits an Outrage of his own, bringing Pickle down once again. Now I'm outraged. This battle is going nowhere fast. After losing my 10th attempt, I white out once again to clear the league for XP. I have no issue making it back to Lance, but I didn't heal. That's okay because I'm training now. 1 additional level is not going to make a significant difference, so I gain what XP I can and white out again. At level 83, it's time to make some more real attempts. Turn 1 against Aerodactyl, he lands a stab, critical, Ancient Power. Typical. I'll keep playing this out, and I do make it back to Dragonite, who once again goes for Safeguard. That's great news, and I find myself squaring off against the 2 Dragonairs. And the result is the same as last time, but maybe I can do this if he doesn't get a crit? This time I have 106 health remaining for them, dropped to 66 by the first. It's the moment of truth, and Dragonair 2 goes for Thunder Wave. Oh boy, I'm paralyzed and of course lose my turn because of it. Outrage brings me to Red Bar. Come on, Pickle! I hit through, and the Elite Four have been defeated. But wait, there's more! Who didn't see that coming? The champion is our final opponent in round 1. I have great news here. There's a reason I call his lead Bird Brains. In this battle, he has only 1 damaging move, and the others will fall harmlessly off of my decoy. Whirlwind doesn't apply this time because my party has been deposited. I set up to +2, and I go for it. Pidgeot is a 1-shot. Alakazam follows, setting up Reflect, halving my physical damage. That's kind of unfortunate. He's a one-shot, but then Rhydon comes out. Rhydon behind Reflect is insanely physically defensive. Shadow Ball deals maybe a quarter? The good news is that he's still trying to speed control me and cannot break my decoy with Rock Tomb, and my next Shadow Ball crits. Gyarados breaks my decoy and brings Pickle to half health while I take him out. Arcanine is next, intimidating me back to +1, but now the Reflect has faded. He hits a Stab Flamethrower, bringing Pickle to red bar, but Return has the oomph to get it done. Last is Venusaur, but check it out. Venusaur has no way to attack me this turn. He takes in Sunlight for Solar Beam, which will end me, and Pickle's +1 Stab Return finishes the job. Pickle has defeated the Round 1 champion. I'll quickly note that Scott's overlay stops the timer right when the champion is defeated. Previously, I've stopped my timer upon entering the Hall of Fame. To account for this, I figured out how much time exists between my old method and this one, and I'll be subtracting that time from all previous runs to account for the difference. Yes, subtract. My ego needs this, everyone. Pickle clocks in with a round 1 time of 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 34 seconds at level 84 with 45 resets. This took 6 hours and 26 minutes of game time. Pickle was taking some big hits in that league, so let's check out how our wall Umbreon handles the league using a similar strategy to Pickle. I'll be relying heavily on Curse setup in these battles, though I'm still rocking Psychic and Moonlight. Because of Moonlight, I really don't care about getting decoys in front of me here, setting up to +5 and healing to green health before going on the offense. This battle takes a lot of turns, and I can mention that now would have been an appropriate time to teach Return to be dealing close to 30% additional damage. Oh well, Lorelei tries her darndest, but Umbreon with Moonlight is simply too difficult for her to defeat. Even with the turns I spent napping, her Pokémon all inevitably fall to my Dark type. Bruno, though, is once again a concern. This is a Gen 1 remake, and the Dark typing did not exist back then. As such, the Dark typing feels a little bit broken from a balance perspective in some battles, but Bruno holds the advantage here. He's the only trainer in the entire Round 1 league that can hit me for super effective damage. But alas, Bruno leads with an Onix. I can comfortably set up to +5 and start working my way through his team. Including a brief pause for Moonlight against Hitmonlee, Umbreon has no issues here while mashing A on Secret Power. Type effectiveness only goes so far when I have 634 defense, including my setup. What I predicted to be Umbreon's most difficult league battle is no problem. Agatha is the one battle where Substitute would have been really nice. Only for her status conditions, and it's not like I'm going to be put in any major danger here. Being confused is serving no purpose aside from taking away time from my life and annoying me. Arbok does end up poisoning me, which is arguably the worst case scenario for Umbreon here, but it still doesn't matter. Sure, I have to toss in additional Moonlights, all of this costing even more time. She tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I definitely should have Shadow Ball and Return on my set right now. There's no reason why I don't. Umbreon plows forward regardless. Remember how Pickle needed 83 in this battle? Well, in my first attempt against the Dragon Master, Umbreon is level 60, with a subpar moveset. My poor Pickle. This battle is a good example of where Moonlight is superior to Substitute. Gyarados' Dragon Rage deals a fixed 40 damage, which would have been a big problem without the option to heal myself. I have only one use of Moonlight left after Agatha, so at +3, I go for it. While scripting this, I'm just sitting here shaking my head. This battle would have been a breeze with Return and Shadow Ball as my offensive moves. Even so, I still make it to the Dragonairs in the back, but at 7 hit points. This is Umbreon's first reset in this league. So I teach better moves, right? No, of course not. I restore the PP of Moonlight because clearly that was the problem. I go to +6 against Gyarados with all of the freedom in the world because of the additional healing. After some absolutely awful damage ranges against Aerodactyl, yes, even at +6, I make it all the way to his final Dragonairs, but this time with 2 health. That's gonna be another nope. In the next battle, I make it back to them with 84 health and 2 uses of Moonlight left. My silliness aside, I should have this one in the bag. I slug it out using both of those final Moonlights, but emerging victorious. For the champion, I started by trying to get Pidgeot out of my way ASAP. I can't hide behind a decoy to avoid sand attacks, which would be the worst case scenario to see this early in the battle. It takes many more turns than Return would have, but down goes Bird Brains. Speaking of the Dark type being slightly game-breaking, Alakazam can't do much here. I have no idea why the champ put him in second. I set up to +6 for free, also healing myself to full with Moonlight. Gosh, wouldn't a +6 neutral Shadow Ball have been nice here? Rhydon takes quite a few turns to knock out, but I'm moving on to Exeggutor. He misses Sleep Powder, and +6 Secret Power is not able to one-shot. Like, it's almost laughable. What was I thinking? Maybe I was just going for the swag. I'm able to take out Gyarados that follows, but once Charizard hits the field, I might be a bit worried. His Stab Fire Blast hits for fairly concerning damage, with Secret Power taking him down to low health, but I also get the paralysis. Even paralyzed, he's faster, but he loses his turn. One final Secret Power ends the battle. Yeah, I totally deserved that one. I think it really speaks to how good Umbreon is, though, even when played by this egghead. Umbreon clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 37 seconds at level 63 with 13 resets. This took 5 hours and 25 minutes of game time. The final physical attacker to check out is Flareon. Lance is going to be a concerning battle, but I have to make it through Lorelei first. She is not kind to fire types. Remember, I didn't do any training in Victory Road with Marion. I wanted to see how she stacked up against Lorelei before making that decision. Honestly, it's not as bad as I was anticipating, but this is a battle that I don't feel is winnable at this level. Lapras takes out Marion, and I immediately take the whiteout to go training. By the way, I love bringing good physical attackers against cool trainer Alexa. There's something deeply satisfying about watching Chansey's titanic health bar melt away. Did you know that one, Alexa? I do not do a full clear, however, only training to level 60 before returning to Lorelei. Why? Secret Power, why? Maybe it's a case of growing too attached to this move after it saved me from so many poison point users in the mid and late game. I don't even make it past Dugong. Unlike with Umbreon, I teach Return right now. What a relief! The more powerful normal-type move is able to two-shot Dugong. That's better. Cloyster has awful special defense, so I switch to a neutral flamethrower one-shotting after return of Protect from her. I accidentally stayed on flamethrower against Lapras, but hey, at least I got the burn. Marion soaks a powerful stab super effective Surf from Lapras, and Return finishes off her ace. Slowbro is next, but that's all the runway I have. One more Surf takes out Marion. In the next battle, Dugong attacked me too, but I play smarter setting up a decoy against Cloyster. It seems 2 returns is not enough to handle Lapras because of her held Citrus Berry, but then I get a critical. Well, that works, but I'm in a similar position to last battle against Slowbro. Nope. Surf wins again. In the next attempt, I have more health for Slowbro, and her Surf leaves Marion at only 2 health. Return then leaves her at what looks like 2 health, and she takes me out again. That was so close! The round 2 league petrifies me when using fire and electric types, so I'll once again white out to finish my training in Victory Road. I do want to save as many rare candies as I can. Oh my goodness, I can't explain it, but this battle seems to be going even worse at the higher level. Fine, I'll tie into my rare candies. At level 65, I make it to Lapras in green health behind a decoy. This feels better. With the added damage, I can now comfortably two-shot Lapras, now facing Slowbro with green health. Apparently, Marion is here for business this time, getting a critical hit in the first turn against Slowbro. This leaves only Jinx in the back. I outspeed, and it does not matter what I do. Return, Flamethrower, she has no chance. The first and possibly most challenging member for Marion is defeated. Now, I can't completely discount the threat of Bruno. Flamethrower does not one-shot Onix, and after that stab super effective Rock Tomb, I'm slower than 2 of his Pokemon. I start backpedaling, setting up one curse, but the damage is done. By the time that Machamp hits the field, I'm in rough shape, and Bruno's ace finishes the battle. I tried cheesing it up a little bit more in the next attempt, hoping that Substitute and Curse could work together. Because I'm weak to Rock Tomb, and Onix seems to enjoy throwing in the odd stab super effective Earthquake, my decoys are simply not effective. Machamp takes me out once again. In the next battle, I tried setting up even more, going to +3 and failing to one-shot Onix with Return. Okay, while he heals, I'll go to +4, which still isn't quite enough. I've no more health to give, so let's do it. Because I knocked out Onix with a physical move, Hitmonchan is likely going for counter, which has negative priority. Bye-bye, Hitmonchan. Machamp is then kind enough to miss Cross Chop, illustrating why I hate those low accuracy moves. Onix 2 is next, knocking me into Red Bar, and then with a critical, Marion takes him out. I think I would have won here, but Hitmonlee responds with a crit of his own, ending this super lucky attempt. 5 attempts later, I use 5 more rare candies, now at level 70. These additional levels make all of the difference, now able to reach his final Pokemon without needing to get super lucky. Onix 2 refuses to go down, bringing Marion down to 44 health, kissing that Red Bar threshold. With +3 defense and no crit from Hitmonlee, I survive on 23 HP and Return ends the battle. Whew, okay, here's hoping that Lance goes better than the first 2 members. Oh, wait, did I miss someone? Oh yeah, my only move that can hit Agatha's ghosts right now is Flamethrower, so let's try that. After a Substitute, and a Curse of course, I want to one-shot the non-ghost types if I can. Despite Flamethrower being unable to one-shot her Gengars, +1 Return handles the others in a single shot, and from behind a decoy, this battle is simple. Now let's talk about Lance. Because of Intimidate, I'm unable to deal effective damage against Gyarados, and interestingly, after a couple of turns, he switches into Aerodactyl, who I seem to be even less effective against as he hits stab super effective ancient powers like they're going out of style. With 202 max hit points, I can kind of cheese Gyarados. 2 Dragon Rages would cost 80 hit points, but from behind a decoy, they're costing me 50 instead. I use this to set up to +2, but I only have a quarter health remaining for the rest of the battle. Aerodactyl takes Marion out once again. After being so excited that I actually taught Return, its time in this playthrough has been short-lived. I replace it with Hidden Power Rock. Where Return was not able to one-shot Gyarados after 1 curse, HP Rock is. It also takes down Aerodactyl in a single turn. Marion has half health for the rest, and Dragonite is also weak to HP Rock. I don't have the damage to one-shot, so I get tagged by an Outrage as Dragonite exits reality. The best news though? At -1 speed, I'm still barely faster than the 2 Dragonairs. Come on, HP Rock! But nope. Red Bar isn't good enough, and as a result, the Dragonairs are allowed to respond to Marion, finishing her again. 2 uses of Curse makes me slower than the Dragonairs, but allows me to avoid damage from Dragonite with a little over 1/3 remaining. Dragonair 1 hits me down to 1/4, and a +2 HP Rock handles him. Dragonair 2 paralyzes me, but Marion hits through, defeating Lance. It's champion time. Marion will be following a similar strategy to Pickle, setting up a decoy and, well, attempting to curse against Bird Brains. I misclick on Substitute, losing a turn. Pidgeot then breaks my decoy, and because I'm slower, he now lands a Sand Attack. Nope, not dealing with that. I reset. I managed to get my setup in the next battle, going to +4 behind my decoy before going on the offense. He sends in Rhydon second, who hits an Earthquake, shaking apart my decoy. Flamethrower is my best option, and I also get the burn. With his attack cut in half, Rhydon's stab super effective Earthquake against my +4 defense deals pathetic damage. Flamethrower takes him out, but Blastoise aims his cannons true and Hydro Pump wipes out Marion. In the next battle, I tried skipping the curse setup, only going for a decoy. This blocks Rhydon's Earthquake, and with a crit, I make it back to Blastoise once again. He starts by missing Hydro Pump, and on the second turn he sets up Rain. This allows me just barely enough time to take out the Shellfish Pokemon. Alakazam's Psychic brings Marion to half health and HP Rock one-shots. Unfortunately, there's still Rain on the field, so my Flamethrower's damage is reduced and Exeggutor survives. He uses Egg Bomb? Of all the moves, but now Marion is at a quarter health for his final Arcanine. Extreme Speed lacks the damage to finish Marion, but HP Rock lacks the damage to finish Arcanine after the Intimidate. This is another loss. 3 rare candies, and let's try again at level 73 with +1 from Curse. With my speed this high still, Rhydon is trying to speed control me, yes! This gives me the perfect opportunity to take him out, and the burn wasn't necessary for the 2-shot at this level. I'm guarded against Blastoise, and he goes straight for the setup this time. He does break my decoy, and along with Alakazam's Psychic, I'm in the same position as last battle, but 3 levels higher. This time, against Exeggutor, I set up a decoy for safety, and his Sleep Powder drifts ineffectively across it. This also serves to stall out the rain, so I'm able to take him out with Stab's super effective Flamethrower. I've got this. Arcanine's Extreme Speed fails to even break my decoy, and +1 super effective HP Rock ends the battle. Marion clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 8 seconds at level 73 with 34 resets. This took 5 hours and 5 minutes of game time. Alright, back to the start. Jolteon will likely be the last runner to face real struggles in round 1. Certainly not against Lorelei though. Stab's super effective Thunderbolt is able to tear her team apart. Lapras survives on a sliver, but after the heal, she doesn't survive the second. Jinx too falls to a single shot. I'm not sure if the crit mattered there. HP Water is a great help against Bruno's Onyxes. Thunderbolt won't one-shot his fighting types, but Hitmonchan starts strong, failing a counter. Hitmonlee deals around 1/3 with Brick Break, but that's all he gets the chance to do. I was really curious what his Ace Machamp was going to do here, but we'll never know. Chocolate lands a critical hit, and the first 2 league members fall easily. I'm kinda digging this mindless onslaught, doing the same for Agatha. Had to mention dig once more. Arbok is the first to survive a Thunderbolt and ends up poisoning Chocolate. I have no idea when I equipped this Pecha Berry, Koga maybe, but I'm saved from said poison. Her Ace Gengar also survives, bringing Chocolate down to 10 HP. Are you worried yet? I'm not. She sends in Haunter last. Nope. I did land a critical here, but it was so not necessary. Lance may be the exception to Chocolate's storming of round 1. His Dragonairs resist my most powerful moves, but Chocolate scores another critical against the first one. I tried double kicking to see how much neutral damage would do, plus I'm almost out of Thunderbolts. Pathetic. And now I'm paralyzed. I actually chose to reset here. Double kick was obviously the wrong choice. With my PP refreshed, I try again. I also have a Cherry Berry equipped this time, and because of it, I only take 40 damage while dispatching of both Dragonairs. Dragonite is a Dragon Flying type, so Thunderbolt is neutral. I deal a little over half while he sets up Safeguard. This battle is over. Another Thunderbolt for Dragonite, but he survives, responding with a critical Stab Outrage. Chocolate is brought to 20 hit points. Oh, almost had to pull my foot out of my mouth there. Now it should be over. I finish off Dragonite, and despite my speed-lowering nature, I outspeed Aerodactyl, taking it out with another Thunderbolt. Right on Chocolate. Against the champion, I start strong once again. Thunderbolt for Pidgeot, one shot. HP Water for Rhydon, one shot. Thunderbolt is a little scary against Alakazam. If I paralyze him, his Synchronize will reflect that back onto me. He survives, so I switch to HP Water for a bit of chunky chip damage. Then Thunderbolt takes him out. Gyarados, yeah right. And against Arcanine, I stick with Thunderbolt, dealing slightly more damage than super effective HP Water. Plus, it has the chance to paralyze. Arcanine responds with a big Flamethrower, then a follow-up priority Extreme Speed ends the battle. Rats. In the next battle, I make it back to Arcanine with full health. He's far less effective this time, and I defeat him with over half health remaining for the final Venusaur. Now, I have said this Venusaur is less threatening now, but that's assuming you don't need to take a whole bunch of turns against him. I have no damaging move that he does not resist. After too many turns, he lands a Solar Beam, ending this attempt. I take one more step towards my final moveset, teaching Rain Dance over Double Kick. With Rain on the field, Arcanine is even less threatening, and I can mess with Venusaur way more. Rain also boosts my HP water damage, taking out Arcanine in one. I get so close, but with Venusaur in red bar, he hits a Solar Beam, ending the battle once again. Having the Rain active for Arcanine is costing me precious health, and Jolteon is far from a defensive Pokemon. I fail again against Venusaur. Alright, you asked for it. I come back in with a nearly fully converted set. Usually, Thunder has a 30% chance to miss. While Rain is active, however, it bypasses accuracy checks. After setting up the Rain against Bird Brains, I blitz my way through his team, now also being able to one-shot Alakazam with Stab Thunder. The Rain fades as Arcanine hits the field, and as I mentioned, I can use it defensively. I set up my Weather again, and his Flamethrower deals sad damage. Bye, Arcanine. Don't! Not quite. Okay, now by Arcanine. Venusaur is trying to set up against me as resisted Thunders deal around a third each turn. He switches the weather in the hopes of having single-turn Solar Beams, so I say, nah, and I put the Rain back in effect. This Weather Dance can be used to mess with the AI, and after another round of messing with Venusaur, Chocolate emerges victorious. She clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 53 seconds at level 63 with 21 resets. This took 5 hours and 54 minutes of game time. Before Puddlepop engaged Lorelei, I taught her HP Electric. Stab Surf, Ice Beam, and HP Electric have about as good of coverage as I could ask for. I set up a decoy for safety and then start hammering my way through her team, now with a super effective option in these water mirror matches. This decoy actually remains in place until the very last turn in the battle when Labras's second Body Slam finally breaks it. I'd hate for her to confuse me or paralyze me with Body Slam, so I just set up a new one and continue with HP Electric. A small hiccup, but Puddlepup is only 2 levels higher than her ace after all. Against Bruno, I set up a decoy for safety, but that turns out to be a bit of a silly idea. I should be attacking with Stab Surf, which obviously is more than Onix can handle. I can't one-shot his fighting types, but with my bulk, I'm able to laugh my way through to Machamp. I'm slightly concerned, but he doesn't see a KO going for bulk up. That's all the opportunity I needed, and we can say goodbye to Bruno. I didn't have to say much about him, no. Agatha is next. Substitute by itself more or less wins this battle. Sure, it's not the cleanest fight ever, but Puddlepup is attempting these battles at the lowest level yet. I maintain my decoy through the early part of the battle, and once it breaks, I just choose not to care. This was slightly dangerous considering her ace Gengar could have put me to sleep, but I'm holding a Chesto Berry from, whenever I equipped it. I don't generally play with my held item unless I absolutely need to. Agatha as well falls on my first attempt. Lance? Dragon Master? Ha! Yeah, right. This battle is laughable for Vaporeon, 4 times super effective HP Electric for Gyarados, and there goes his biggest threat. Ice Beam sweeps through his Dragon types with room to spare, and I waste a whole controller input as I switch to Surf for Aerodactyl. Puddlepop dominated these Elite Four, so let's see how the champion fares. At the same level as Bird Brains, I'm 1 speed lower, and I immediately get tagged by Sand Attack. No. Reset. It happens again, so fine. 1 rare candy. No, you know what? 4 rare candies. This time, Sand Attack does nothing as my decoy protects. Ice Beam, one-shot. Venusaur is next, and hot dog! Ice Beam almost one-shots it too as it sets up. Bye, Venusaur! Alakazam sets up Reflect, good luck with that, and after a healing loop manages to break my decoy while I break him. Rhydon, one-shot. Gyarados, one-shot. Arcanine in the back, one-shot. Vaporeon just had the most dominant round 1 yet. This is the power of top-notch special coverage. Puddlepop clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 50 seconds at level 64 with 4 resets. This took 4 hours and 30 minutes of game time. I saved the best for last. If you thought Vaporeon went by quickly, check out Espeon. I set up 2 turns of Calm Mind against Lorelei's lead Dugong. While this was enough for Dugong, it doesn't quite take out Lapras. This results in Psych Out getting paralyzed by Body Slam. Synchronize returns the favor, but I'm in a bit of trouble here. Upon defeating Cloyster, I leveled to 52, getting the chance to learn Morning Sun. Since there's no day-night cycle in this game, it's effectively the same as Umbreon's Moonlight. The hail is making me heal for only a quarter health though, so I take a whole bunch of turns against Slowbro. Because of her love of setting up Amnesia increasing her special defense, I decided, what the heck, I'll stall here and set up all the way to +6. 814 special attacks. Slowbro's setup and resistance now count for nothing. Jinx in the back falls to 1 more resisted Psychic. I'm not talking about Bruno, no. Nor am I gonna talk about Agatha. I'm faster, and super effective Stab Psychic slaughters them both. Against Lance, I set up 1 Calm Mind and try Psychic. Okay, not quite enough damage, so I set up a second. Aerodactyl outspeeds me, hitting for a fair amount of damage, and then I fail to one-shot his Ace Dragonite. This results in a reset for poor Psych Out, but I'm level 55. Even Vaporeon was 3 levels higher against Lance. Capitalizing on my ability to heal with Morning Sun, I set up very comfortably to +4 with full health against Gyarados. Good luck, Aerodactyl. You get 1 shot. Ah, crap, I shouldn't have taunted him as he lands a critical hit, bringing Psych Out into Red Bar. He really made this count, getting the Omni boost as well, but it doesn't save him, and +4 Stab Psychic melts his Dragon types. Against the champion, I lead with Substitute. I take as many turns as I can here, setting up to +2 before Bird Brains breaks my decoy. My turn. I make my way through a few of his Pokemon, and I'm surprised that Arcanine had the wherewithal to go for extreme speed, but it makes sense considering my special defense is so set up. Because of a crit from Alakazam, I'm about to lose this, but I want to point out that the champion's ace Pokemon is 7 levels higher than I am right now. Only slightly begrudgingly, I dip into my rare candies. 5 bring me to level 60. I implement the same strategy, and this time Pidgeot is kind enough to let me set up all the way to +6. Excessive, and I still have my decoy in place. Arcanine breaks it, but at level 60, I'm now faster than his remaining Pokemon. Neutral, resisted, it doesn't matter. At +6, he has 0 recourse against Psych Out. This battle is mine, and Psych Out clocks in with the fastest time yet, and the lowest level. 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 10 seconds at level 61 with 8 resets. This took 3 hours and 59 minutes of game time. Switching back to Pickle, let's check our standings and do a quick explainer of what's needed to face the Round 2 leagues. Previously, all of our runners were nicely split into groups of 2. Now, Pickle is the outlier because Jolteon made up so much time by kicking some serious butt in that league. So much so that Jolteon was entering the champion battle while Flareon was just finishing it. Umbreon remains ahead of both of them, consistency being key for her success. Vaporeon and Espeon remain in a class of their own, with special setup edging out special coverage so far. The Round 2 leagues will decide it all, but first I have to unlock it. Part of the requirements is to obtain the National Dex, a requirement that I remove from my runs. After all, these runs are about the Pokemon that I'm playing, not my ability to catch 60 species. A nice bonus of this is that there are other items in the game that have catch requirements, most notably the leftovers. You need to catch 30 species to get the item finder, and then you can use it to obtain the leftovers. If you're curious about how to unlock the Round 2 leagues, check out this video where I break it down in more detail. Today, I just wanted to show why I suddenly have leftovers. I feel if a Pokemon ever needs leftovers for the Round 1 league, they're probably doing bad enough that catching 30 species isn't going to slow them down too much. With the second league unlocked, let's check out this final stretch to the finish line. Welcome to Round 2. Every team has been leveled up by around 12 levels and has had some changes made to it. The movesets are updated, and Lorelei's Slowbro has been replaced with Piloswine. Also, for whatever reason, almost all of the Pokemon in Round 2 are male. This is a big reason why all of the runners today have been female. I mean, just look into Pickle's eyes. Could you say no? Pickle is quite overleveled, and with the leftovers healing me for 1/16 of my health every turn, I am even more sturdy. I set up a decoy against Cloyster, though it's far less incompetent in this second battle, breaking my decoy and taking Pickle down to around a quarter. Because I used a single curse, Pickle gets outsped and put to sleep by Jinx, fainting shortly after. There's a nifty quirk about Lorelei's lead Dugong. She has a particular proclivity to setting up double team, which I can use to my advantage. Well, in theory anyway, Dugong is acting quite aggressively against Pickle. I'm having a pretty rough time against her, honestly, so I decided to black out and grind for a few additional levels. I'm quite inefficient with it, going all the way back to 7 Island. There is a grinding spot here that's really nice with the Versus Seeker, but honestly, blacking out to Lorelei would likely have been the faster play. If you follow the path south, you'll encounter these two cool trainers. Alright, thumbs up, let's do this. Leroy and Michelle. They actually have really good XP yields, and this house here has a man inside that will heal your Pokemon fully by doing the Chansey dance. I won't be going in there today because I forgot to pick up the Versus Seeker from the Vermilion City Poké Center. Okay, this was extra wasteful of time. I was about to say tail tucked between my legs, but look at Eevee's sprite. Is that even physically possible? Anyway, I'm back at Lorelei attempting the battle at level 88. This first one ends in defeat, but I learned that Dugong wants to go for double teams now. I can work with that. In the next battle, I set up a single curse, remaining faster than Dugong by 1 point. Sweet! At -1 speed though, Cloyster is faster, confusing me with Supersonic. Pickle then hits herself in confusion while soaking ice beams until I reset. Really? After more failures, I bite the bullet and use my last 3 rare candies. Yes, I have collected slightly more than are available in the region. Thank you, Meowth. It's looking like even at level 91, I can't keep my decoy active against Cloyster. Maybe I can use Piloswine? This battle still ends in defeat, but I made it to Lapras for the first time. Now, this one gets a little nutty. I'm trying to get my setup in against Piloswine, who hits me with Blizzard, so once my health is subtracted by Substitute, I have 3 hit points remaining. The fresh decoy survives his next Blizzard, and Piloswine faints to +2 stab return. Jinx breaks my decoy, falling herself. Then Lapras comes in and ends the battle. Alright, it's time to blackout train. Those rare candies were premature. It's a good thing that I did not save over them. After blacking out, in the very next battle, I get my decoy set up against Cloyster and it blocks Supersonic. Then Ice Beam is not able to break it. Wait, this is really good. Piloswine does break it, but I knock him out on the path to Jinx. Because I haven't set up with Curse, I'm faster and one-shot the human-shaped Pokemon. Seriously, that is in fact what she is. I'm facing down Lorelei's Ace Lapras in Green Bar. Provided she doesn't nail me with a status condition, I think I win. She doesn't, and I do. Wow, I was not expecting Lorelei to be that hard, and next is a significantly upgraded Bruno. Bruno's Onyxuses have been upgraded to Steelixuses, and his movesets are far more threatening. The good news is that his lead Steelix is generally going to try and speed control me, so behind a decoy I can set up with Curse, increasing my physical defense, all the while healing with leftovers. By the time I complete my setup, Steelix is going for Crunch, a special move, which I find hilarious. +6 stab return, despite being resisted, is dealing impressive damage. I took out Steelix with a physical contact move, so Hitmonchan is likely going for counter, which he does, so I move first, knocking him out. Machamp hits a stab super effective cross chop, and thank goodness that one didn't crit. Pickle is still in green health. Had it crit, that would have been the end. Hitmonlee's Mega Kick bounces off as well, leaving one last Steelix. Way to go, Pickle! You've got this! His second Steelix continues with Crunch, and Pickle knocks out Bruno's final Pokemon. Heck yeah! First try Bruno. Yeah, I wasn't worried. No, not at all. Agatha's love for status conditions remains, and her weakest Pokemon, Haunter, has been replaced by Misdreavus. I try hiding behind a decoy, but her lead Gengar breaks it with Psychic. I try again against Crobat since he's using only physical moves. No dice. I get myself into an absolute slugfest against Arbok. Just look at how much survivability those leftovers are giving me. This first battle ends in defeat. In the next battle, her lead Gengar goes for Confuse Ray, leaving my decoy intact. That's more like it. I set up one curse against Crobat, avoiding any and all shenanigans from it and her Arbok that follows. Her Ace Gengar is a fast finisher with only attacking moves, so my decoy is broken, but +1 super effective Shadow Ball takes her out. That leaves only Misdreavus, who outspeeds, going for Thunderbolt. Too little, too late. This one is mine. A big question that I've had in the past is if Lance was a Dragon Master in Round 1, what is he in Round 2? A Dragon Doctoral? Apparently, he spent too much time studying theory instead of actually battling, because I can seriously exploit his AI here. Well, usually. On a normal day, he'd be trying to speed control me with Thunder Wave, but today, like Lorelei, he's intent on being aggressive. I haven't played the Round 2 leagues with a first stage Pokemon before. Well, there was that one time with Sunkern, but we don't talk about that. Using a first stage Pokemon, all of my old tricks don't seem to work nearly as well. Even so, his Kingdra tends to act a little bit silly too, so I can try setting up against him. Lance's Lesser Dragonite breaks my decoy as Pickle takes out his third party member. Of course, Aerodactyl scores a critical with Ancient Power, taking me under half health, but it doesn't save him from Shadow Ball. His Ace Dragonite goes for Stab Outrage, and Pickle survives in Red Bar. One final +3 Stab Return ends the battle. This leaves Pickle with one final opponent in the entire game, the Round 2 champion. Similar to Bruno, I can take advantage of the champion's lead, Heracross. He too knows Rock Tomb and will be trying to speed control me. He's mixing in some impotent counters because the AI in Gen 3 can be a bit silly sometimes, and once he starts using Mega Horns, I'm set up enough that they aren't as scary. I get set up all the way to +6 behind a decoy and at nearly full health. I could not ask to be in a better position right now. Alakazam does break said decoy, but there's no way he tanks this return. Big Bad T-Tar is out next, kicking up a sandstorm. This effectively cancels the healing from my leftovers, and only slightly to my surprise, a resisted +6 stab return is not able to one-shot. Pickle takes some heavy damage before dropping the Gen 2 pseudo-legendary. Just like that, I went from feeling darn near invulnerable to incredibly exposed as Gyarados brings Pickle down to only 4 hit points. Arcanine finishes the battle. In the next battle, Alakazam did not break my decoy, so I'm able to take out Tyranitar having suffered far less damage. Gyarados' Hydro Pump deals a ridiculous amount of damage, and Pickle is again reduced to only 77 health for Arcanine. Stab Overheat melts the last of my health bar. In the next battle, I try going in without any setup at all. Look at how pathetic my damage is against Tyranitar. That's definitely not the solution here. After several more failures, I break out my hidden weapon power fighting. It's HP fighting. I kept this in reserve for Bruno's Steelix's too, but I did not need it there. I foolishly try setting up here, but it only serves to cost me health. The good news is that 4 times super effective HP fighting does knock out Tyranitar in a single hit. That's encouraging, and after a few more attempts, I use those last 3 rare candies, leveling up to 93, and I revert to setting up against Heracross. I go to +5, Alakazam leaves my decoy intact, and Tyranitar's Crunch didn't break it. This leaves me guarded against Gyarados' Intimidate and the beast himself. Oh yeah! He misses Hydro Pump, so my decoy is still intact for Arcanine. It was at this point that I knew I'd won. Venusaur can't take me out in a single turn, and then Arcanine misses Overheat as well. Talk about the stars aligning. Venusaur's last, setting up some sunlight and renewing the efficacy of my leftovers. It matters not. +5, Stab Return takes out the champion's ace. Pickle has defeated the Round 2 League. What a wild run! Pickle clocks in with a final time of 2 hours, 42 minutes, and 58 seconds at level 93 with 61 resets. This took 7 hours and 49 minutes of game time and sets the bar for her evolved forms. Let's go in reverse order of the standings after Round 1. Chocolate is next on the block. The only change here is that I've taught Substitute for a final moveset of Thunder, HP Water, Rain Dance, and Substitute. Obviously, this Lorelei battle shouldn't be worrisome. For the Ice-type Elite, she sure loves her Water types. I set up my decoy and the Rain against Dugong. Double team all you want. Stab super effective Thunder now bypasses accuracy checks. I nuke Dugong, Piloswine with HP Water, Cloyster with another Thunder, and then Thunder leaves Jinx in Red Bar. She seems intent on smooching my decoy, and I don't even bother setting the Rain back up. After an HP Water for chip damage, I'm just using Thunder, and while I do miss twice, I comfortably emerge victorious. Against Bruno, I'm hoping beyond hope that he's going to try to speed control me, which he does as a Rock Tomb bounces off my decoy. This is a big reason for those defensive EVs earlier, because my decoy has enough bulk to remain intact. I test my luck, setting up the Rain too, but Steelix now sees the KO range, going for Earthquake. Yes, even at this amount of health, I'm in knockout range, so I switch to HP Water to get rid of the Steel Snake. Thunder does not one-shot Hitmonlee, and his Earthquake knocks out Chocolate. Well, that sounds like a great time to use a bunch of rare candies. I'm at the same level as his team right now, after all. I fail once more, but on my 3rd attempt at level 70, I'm able to see more of the battle. Thunder is still unable to one-shot the Hitmons, but because I had my decoy there, I find myself facing Machamp with nearly full health. His Earthquake deals devastating damage as I set up the Rain, and had I not crit right here, this would have been a reset. Steelix 2 faints to a super effective Rain-boosted HP Water, and Hitmonchan goes for counter. Nah, not the most deserved victory, but with an electric type, I'll take any win that I can in this league. Against Agatha, I implement the same strategy, dodging her status conditions at the start of battle with a decoy. Thunder carves a path through her whole team, leading to Misdreavus in the back. The Rain has faded, so I do try HP Water for disappointing damage. And he attracts me. Blah! I hate playing against Attract. At least it doesn't impact Chocolate too much, and I strike through with one final Thunder. Here we get to see the usual Round 2 Lance strategy. He sits there spamming Thunder Wave endlessly against a decoy. Of course, Chocolate's setup process is quite short, and before he knows it, Stab 4 times super effective Thunder obliterates his lead. Despite my speed-lowering nature, I'm still faster than Aerodactyl, the fastest opponent I will ever face. I'm pretty skinny on Thunder PP though, and HP Water doesn't quite do enough damage. Lance is another elite whose team is littered with earthquakes, so my decoy is broken once again as his lesser Dragonite hits the field, which also knows Earthquake, right as the rain fades. Oh, that's super. Thunder is unable to do enough damage, and Chocolate faints to the powerful Ground-type move. 5 attempts and 9 rare candies later, I'm still trying. Even over 4 more damage rounding thresholds, I'm still unable to knock out his lesser Dragonite, but at least I can move on to Kingdra with green health. That gives me just enough of an edge to survive his hits, along with Lance's Ace Dragonite's Outrage. A tricky battle, but honestly, as an electric type with no super effective moves here, I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. Champion time, and this battle is by far the most challenging that Chocolate will face. Brace yourselves, this one is really messy. Heracross will lead by trying to speed control me, but he also knows Earthquake. Once my health drops below around 2/3, he will start spamming it. He knocks me down to 1 HP, with my leftovers bringing me back slightly. Sure, Heracross is out of here, but now what? Without the rain, Thunder sucks. It misses twice, and Gyarados takes out Chocolate. After a few more attempts, I was getting absolutely nowhere with this battle, so I decided to black out and redo the league since it was fairly simple for Chocolate. It's pretty painless, but fun fact here, despite Hidden Power Water doing special damage, Hidden Power itself is a normal move, so when it comes to Hitmonchan using counter, I get spanked. I then just barely don't knock him out with a second HP Water, and a second counter finishes Chocolate. Ha! Well, I learned something new today. Aside from that little hiccup, I make it back to the champion without any issues. My thinking against Hitmonchan there was to conserve PP. After all, facing the leagues over and over like this will consume the last of my PP restoring items, and then I'd be in a real pickle. Aw, pickle. Heracross is still a right pain in the butt, but it seems now with a favorable range, I can knock him out with Thunder, but it's not guaranteed. Wave bye-bye to Gyarados, everyone. I make it to Tyranitar, and the first order of business is to bring the weather back in my favor as he breaks my decoy. This results in Chocolate taking a heavy Earthquake, leaving me at 1/4, but HP Water does get the job done. Thunder deals around 1/3 to Venusaur, also getting the paralysis. But Venusaur also knows Earthquake, and down goes Jolteon. After more failing, I cleared the league a 3rd time, now at level 87 for the champion. Heracross would not allow me a decoy, and it seems that I am absolutely going to need one in place if I want to make it past Tyranitar. Knocking him out is one thing, surviving the rest of the battle is quite another. Oh, and HP Water does not always one-shot him. After feeling so dominant for like a minute, Jolteon is back to feeling weak against this final opponent. With a decoy in place for T-Tar, I can once again turn the weather for free, and I get the one-shot. Okay, Venusaur, turn 1, I get a critical hit with Thunder, bringing Venusaur down to red bar. Yes, Chocolate must have been feeling as over this run as I was at this point. Venusaur wants to play weather games, setting up the sun. I waste some health trying for a substitute, but his Sunny Ways Earthquakes are just too strong. I soak another, changing the weather so that I can at least bring down his ace. Alakazam follows, and I one-shot. Only Arcanine is left, and super effective rain-boosted HP Water takes down the Fire Doggo. Chocolate has done it. Holy guacamole, that was painful. For how good of a Pokemon Jolteon is, the Kanto region is simply not kind to electric types. Chocolate clocks in with a round 2 time of 2 hours, 26 minutes, and 8 seconds at level 88 with 35 resets. This took 7 hours and 42 minutes of game time. Flareon is next, and believe it or not, fire types tend to struggle even more than electric types in round 2. Using the funds that I earned in round 1, I'm going to be buying a copy of Shadow Ball before going in because I want to keep my options open. I start the battle against Lorelei by setting up a single turn of Curse while she responds with a heavy stab super effective Surf for a little under half. Wow. She switches to Double Team, and +1 super effective HP Rock takes out her lead. Flamethrower is the obvious choice for Piloswine, one-shotting. Cloyster outspeeds, and while Flamethrower would have one shot, she sets up the rain, so no dice. Despite Cloyster's mammoth special defense stat, +1 super effective HP Rock does the job. I'm faster than Lapras, bye-bye, leaving only Jinx. Marion gets put to sleep and snoozes away until the unconscious effect becomes a little bit more permanent. I failed again, but what if I don't set up and retain my speed? HP Rock, one shot. Flamethrower, one shot. One shot. I switch back to HP Rock for Lapras, hitting her to around 1/4 health while she responds with a Surf for over half of mine. She gets caught in a healing loop, but because I'm faster, this knockout is mine. With my speed intact, I'm also faster than Jinx, and one final HP Rock finishes the battle. Bruno is the primary reason why I've held on to Flamethrower. His Steelixes are incredibly threatening, and HP Rock is 4 times resisted. Flamethrower says bye-bye to both. HP Rock is also resisted by the fighting types, so I stick with it for the Hitmons, being brought down to only 15 health by Hitmonlee's Earthquake. This isn't looking great, as his Ace Machamp hits the field. I don't crit, he does not miss, and that's a reset. Let's see if a decoy holds up against Rock Tomb. The answer is yes! I take out the Steelixes facing Hitmonchan. He's Bruno's least scary attacker, so I take a moment, or two, to set all the way up to +6. By the end of my setup, I'm actually gaining health back every turn against Hitmonchan, until he crits. I repeat the strategy, but this time with less health because I was flinched 4 times. Yup, 4. +6 resisted HP Rock is a one-shot against both Hitmons, with Lee's Earthquake bringing Marion to around 2/3 health. Machamp misses Cross Chop, but HP Rock leaves him in red bar. Rats! It's Bruno's turn for a healing loop, and after a few more turns and a sad Earthquake, Marion claims victory over the second league member. I did buy Shadow Ball for Agatha, but I'm unsure of whether I'll need it or not, and wouldn't mind keeping Flamethrower as an option for the champion's Heracross. I'm just barely outsped by her lead Gengar, who thankfully misses Hypnosis, allowing me to establish my decoy. I play this battle very poorly, switching between Flamethrower and HP Rock because I really wasn't sure which was going to be most effective. Another problem I'm facing is that over half of her team outspeeds me, so I'm taking a lot of additional damage. This is a reset. Alright, Shadow Ball it is, which might have seemed like the answer if I wasn't still facing that speed problem. I'm getting way too beat up here, especially because Arbok keeps breaking my decoy. 3 rare candies later, and I'm trying again at level 80. I feel that this is where the bulk of my time loss in these playthroughs exists. I simply don't know what I need until I'm facing each major battle. In this battle, my decoy holds firm, not being broken until Crobat's final turn in battle. Back at full health because of the leftovers, there are 2 Pokemon left. Hurray's Gengar outspeeds, hitting Sludge Bomb, which also poisons Marion. Perfect! I win now. Paralysis could have ended me, but we won't be here long enough to see the poison damage stack up. I'm faster than Misdreavus, so this battle is over. Panting slightly, I move on to Lance. I used a rare candy in between the battles, going to level 81. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. Because of my typing, Gyarados seems once again interested in being aggressive. Fortunately, he's more focused on setting up Dragon Dances, probably to match my growing defense as I curse. I take him out pretty much for free, then his lesser Dragonite comes out, outspeeding and landing a critical Earthquake, ending the battle. Ah, that's annoying. Gyarados continues that trend as I try getting set up, and then he randomly switches to Thunder Wave. Now paralyzed, I'm not gonna bother playing this one out. Hey, there we go. Gyarados behaves like he normally does, spamming some Thunder Waves, so I'm allowed to set up with impunity. Gyarados falls with Marion nice and comfy behind a decoy. Dragonite 1 still breaks it, but +1 super effective HP Rock breaks him. Aerodactyl trades an EQ for around a quarter-ish, and I one-shot. Kingdra, though. Kingdra's stab super effective Surf is dealing massive damage to Marion, and my damage is lacking enough that I cannot bring it down. This strategy might work, but I'll need +2 instead of +1. Gyarados cooperates again, and I achieve +2 in the next attempt. Even better news is that at +3 defense, my decoy survives the EQ from Dragonite. Aerodactyl does break my decoy, but I'm at full health with what should be enough setup for Kingdra. Marion then crits with HP Rock, but I should have used Shadow Ball here. At least Kingdra still falls, and one final +2 super effective HP Rock levels Lance's Ace Dragonite. That leaves the champion, and once again, it's going to be the most difficult battle that Marion will face in the entire game. A big part of that challenge is his lead Heracross, who of course knows Earthquake. He tears a massive piece out of Marion before finally fainting, and now I'm in red bar. This is why I wanted to keep Flamethrower. Tyranitar is next, but there's no way here. Marion faints. For the sake of brevity, take a look at the timer and resets. 12 minutes and almost 20 resets later, this is what it took for Flareon to find success. I've used my last 2 rare candies and taught Attract over Shadow Ball. I'm essentially hoping and praying for luck here. Attract in combination with Substitute, Curse, and Leftovers is some through and through dirty play. But this is where I am. I lead with Attract, and then assuming I win the 50-50 chance of Heracross being immobilized by Love, I proceed. Substitute next to guard me if he manages to hit through. Then it's a curse fest. After a couple of curses, I don't bother with another decoy until the very end. I found that trying to maintain the decoy allowed Heracross too many opportunities to hit me. At the last moment, I get my decoy in place and start my offensive. My decoy tanks Tyranitar's Crunch, and +6 HP Rock takes him out. Remember, Rock does not resist Rock. I keep having to remind myself of this. Not seeing the KO, Blastoise changes the weather. Thank you very much. Without the Sandstorm, Leftovers is effective again, and HP Rock levels his ace. Alakazam finally breaks my decoy, but all that remain are Arcanine and Exeggutor. The Coconut Pokemon puts Marion to sleep, and after being brought to half health, I wake up and get my decoy re-established. Safety first, Batman. Pineapple Head tries for more sleep tactics, but now I have the upper hand. Arcanine's Extreme Speed bounces off of my decoy, and now Marion has defeated the Round 2 champion. It's rare that I've used Attract in my playthroughs, and who better with her naughty nature to rely on Attract strategies than the Ruby of the Sea. Marion clocks in with a final time of 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 17 seconds at level 83 with 68 resets. This took 6 hours and 8 minutes of game time. It's Umbreon's turn. Before even making it to round 2 though, I want to point out an unfortunate reset that I had in the Rocket Warehouse. At least I had the wherewithal to save before this battle. I still haven't taught Umbreon Substitute, which results in my defeat. Substitute adds so much consistency to these runs, and a defensive Pokemon like Umbreon takes even greater advantage of it when combined with Leftovers. I taught over Psychic too, so my damage output against Weezing is quite sad, and after a Sludge Bomb, it seems that I'm in Eggsplosion range. Ouch. Obviously, Substitute is being added to my set before jumping into round 2. I teach it over top of Moonlight, since Leftovers will be providing ample healing. Against Lorelei, Umbreon gets to experience something that I rarely see in these runs. Dugong can hit me for super effective damage with Signal Beam. She doesn't, but hey, it's a rare thing that I get to mention. After setting up to +4, I start my sweep. This battle gets incredibly messy, and I feel it all started falling apart when I set up once more against Cloyster. I get confused, frozen, my decoy broken, then put to sleep, and yet Umbreon just keeps on chugging through the battle. Against her Ace Lapras, I knock her down to some fraction of a sliver of red bar and get frozen again. And finally, Umbreon goes down with Lapras back at like 2 health. I fail again, so I dive into my rare candies, going to level 70. Here, we can see the danger of setting up for such a long time against Dugong. She is stacked with double teams, and Umbreon misses over and over and over and over, all the way from full health to red bar before finally hitting. That's another reset. In the next battle, I only go to +3, knocking out Dugong. Based on the damage at +2, that crit didn't matter. I decided to try my luck against the accuracy of Piloswine's Blizzard. In theory, as long as he misses one or two, I can finish my setup here without any issue. I do just that, even throwing in a wasted curse to stall a little bit and allow leftovers to do their good work. Protected by my decoy, Jinx's lovely kiss does not work, and I'm facing Lapras again. Surf breaks my decoy, but +6 return is enough to deal with her. My strategy against Bruno mirrors round 1, hoping to set up enough defensively against Steelix before the more threatening fighting types come into the fray. I don't even bother with the substitute initially, then realize it's probably in my best interest in case Steelix gets a crit. These things are far superior to their first stage form after all. +6 Shadow Ball and Return aren't dealing great damage, and unfortunately Steelix hits enough Iron Tails, lowering my defense a few stages. I'm only at +3 by the time he falls. Even so, Umbreon's monstrous bulk allows me to tank everything that Bruno throws at me. My only concern here was being crit, particularly by Machamp, but that doesn't happen, and I see another first attempt against Bruno. Against Agatha, I have nothing new to say. I set up a decoy, then to +3, and start sweeping. Crobat survives return, so I set up another curse to guarantee the one-shot. Agatha's team is quite fast, and I started the battle being slower than over half of her Pokemon. It's my bulk that wins the day again. My only worry here was getting messed up by, say, Attract and Paralysis against Mischievous, but she goes for Thunderbolt for sad damage, and +4 super effective Shadow Ball ends League member number 3. It was that easy. Alright, what's Lance getting up to this time? A whole bunch of Thunder Waves and Dragon Dances, and despite breaking my decoy once, I set up a new one before taking him out. I can't see myself losing this battle from this point. His Ace Dragonite is the one to finally break my decoy, and I finish off the Dragon Doctoral with full health. A decisive victory. Champion time. I lead off against Heracross, get hit by a Rock Tomb after cursing, and reset. Probably should have gone for the decoy first. Heracross is quite a threatening lead again because he has stab super effective Mega Horn. Even with a few stages of defense setup, it's dealing brutal damage. This puts me in a very nasty spot for Tyranitar, as +4 resisted return pretty much bounces off of him. We've already seen what to do against that nasty lead Heracross though. Cross his eyes with love, teaching Attract over Shadow Ball. I reset again against Heracross, making it back to Tyranitar with this new strategy. I take him out this time, but it's a hard-won victory, also getting paralyzed by Thunderbolt along the way. I'm facing Exeggutor with 38 health remaining, which doesn't last long. He knocks me out with Giga Drain. I try again using 5 more rare candies, now at level 78. I still have a couple candies left, but I want to see what's possible here. I do get tagged by a Mega Horn during my setup, but I am able to recover plenty of health before taking down Heracross. Come on, T-Tar, don't paralyze me! And he doesn't. At level 78, 2 returns take down the Gen 2 Pseudo. I want my safety back, setting up Substitute against Exeggutor as he misses Sleep Powder. Okay, breathe. I should be okay now. My decoy tanks every hit, even from Gyarados finally being broken by Charizard. I take him out with a +6 critical return. It feels so good. Alakazam is last, and check out that moveset. He can only hit me with Shadow Ball, which does 2 damage, and Umbreon finishes the battle. That was much more intense than I'd imagined. The round 2 champion is so much more difficult than round 1. Umbreon clocks in with a final time of 2 hours and 32 seconds at level 79 with 21 resets. This took 6 hours and 35 minutes of game time. Next in line is my Vaporeon Puddle Pup. Absolutely nothing has changed since round 1 aside from including leftovers, which have the greatest effect on Vaporeon because of my base 130 HP stat. HP Electric is my best move against the Water Mirror matches, Dugong in 2, Lapras in more than 2 because I'm just barely missing the 2-shot. The worst thing that could happen here is being paralyzed by Body Slam, but in this case, it's fine. Cloyster is a one-shot, so I switch to Stab super effective effective Surf against Piloswine after having my next decoy broken. I wanted a decoy for Jinx, but so be it. She goes for Psychic, also lowering my special defense. Uh-oh. The next turn, she hits me down into Red Bar, but one final Surf finishes the battle. That should be as close as it gets though. After setting up a safety decoy against Steelix 1, I should be able to rely on my bulk to get me through Bruno. That is until Machamp lands a critical with Cross Chop. Puddlepup faints from nearly full health. I make it back to him with less health this time, but instead of landing a critical, he doesn't land anything. 2 Surfs take out Bruno's ace. Oh, and one more for Steelix, in case you were wondering. Agatha starts off by being a big old pain, putting Vaporeon to sleep. I snooze away for a few turns, but eventually wake up getting my decoy in place. Check this out. I recover all the way to green health until Arbok is finally the one to re-break my decoy. So I set up a new one. Man, I'm annoying. I'm going for Ice Beam here as Arbok sets up his evasiveness, hoping for a freeze. Instead, I get a critical. That's even better. I level up to 69. Nice. And her Ace Gengar breaks my decoy once more. After a few turns of healing, she hits with another, bringing Puddlepup from 3/4 to 1/4 health. Only Crobat remains, outspeeding and hitting Stab Sludge Bomb. This brings Vaporeon to 9 hit points, leaving me at a sliver. Crobat then returns the favor, hanging on with a sliver of its own, and Air Cutter ends the battle. I reset a few more times, so it's time for rare candies. I have 10 remaining after all. I only use 4, going to level 73 to guarantee that Crobat one-shot. This time against her Ace Gengar, we see a similar situation play out as the first time, but after the second Thunderbolt, I'm still in green health, albeit barely. Good luck, Crobat. Even a critical wouldn't take me down this time. Over 2 damage rounding thresholds, Ice Beam has no issue getting the one-shot, leaving Puddlepup with 2 more battles in the game. Against Lance, I lead with Substitute. Do I need to keep saying that? I mean, it is relevant. He does round 2 Gyarados things, and 4 times super effective HP Electric takes him out. I have an Ice move, and only Aerodactyl outspeeds me. So, instead of the Dragonites, let's talk about Kingdra. He's the only member of Lance's team that I can't hit for super effective damage. Ice Beam crits not once, but twice in a row as he continues to heal himself. I use my last PP of Ice Beam, being forced to switch to HP Electric because Surf would be 4 times resisted. Since he's burned through all of his healing items, I can take out Kingdra with 2 more uses. Aerodactyl hits Aerial Ace, owie, and Puddlepup Stab super effective Surf washes away Lance's final Pokemon. Against the champion, I decoy for safety and it survives 2 Rock Tombs as I knock out Heracross with 2 uses of Surf. Tyranitar has been the biggest pain in the butt for most of the other runners, and it's so nice to see him fall so easily to a single Surf. Venusaur is next, getting taken to Red Bar as he changes the weather for me. Granted, my Surf will be dealing less damage while the sun is out, but Leftovers healing me is far more important right now. 1 more Ice Beam finishes him. Alakazam is a problem. He starts by setting up Calm Mind, not once, but twice. All of my moves are special, so I'm dealing less and less damage as his Stab Psychics are dealing more and more. This results in a reset and perhaps is foreshadowing of the outcome between special coverage versus special setup. I reset once more to Alakazam, and in the 3rd battle he goes for Psychic right away instead of Calm Mind. This is the difference that I needed. While I still end up taking a bunch of turns and damage, by the time the sun fades, I can switch back to using Surf, 2-shotting with 67 health remaining. HP Electric takes out Gyarados in a single turn. The champion has one last chance to beat me here. Arcanine goes for Extreme Speed, dealing over half of my remaining health, but without that crit, I win. The last thing that the round 2 champion sees is the wave of a Stab super effective Surf coming his way. Vaporeon has by far the lowest number of resets and fastest time so far, but there's still one more Pokemon to check out. Puddle Pup clocks in with a final time of 1 hour, 31 minutes even at level 76 with 10 resets. This took 5 hours and 22 minutes of game time. It's time for Psych Out to show me what she's got. To unlock round 2, I needed to teach HP Water, otherwise I could not have defeated this Rocket admin's Houndoom. This is Espeon's final set: Psychic, HP Water, Calm Mind, and Substitute. Vaporeon cleared the league at 1 hour and 31 minutes, giving Espeon around 14 minutes to clear round 2. Against Lorelei, I can once again mention that I'm weak to Signal Beam from Dugong, and she uses it! Hooray! +1 Psychic is not enough, so I set up twice more to +3. This should give me enough damage against Lapras. Dugong falls, and with my special stats set up, I chance setting up a decoy against Cloyster. It goes for Rain Dance, so I win! Psychic sweeps through Cloyster, Piloswine, and I switch to +3 rain-boosted HP Water on the last turn of the Deluge for Jinx. +3 Psychic is then enough to one-shot Lapras, and the first member of the league falls. This time I'm talking about Bruno, no. The 3 critical Pokemon that I selected my hidden power typing around were these 2 Steelixes and the champion's Tyranitar. HP Water did not one-shot. Wow. To save time, I'll reset quickly and then use 3 rare candies, going back in at level 68. Resisted Psychic deals half. What? Why? Reset. HP Water fails the one-shot again, but after he heals, I get it the second time. I was hit by Rock Tomb, but I'm still faster than his whole team. That's good information, although it's also useless information. HP Water one-shots the second Steelix, and no surprises here, Stab super effective Psychic carves through his fighting types with ease. 2 down, 3 to go. At 194 speed, I'm faster than Agatha's whole team. Lead Gengar, one shot with Psychic. Crobat, one shot with Psychic. Ace Gengar, one shot with Psychic. Misdreavus is her only team member to not have the poison type, and Psychic does not one-shot. Misdreavus unleashes a bunch of stab super effective Shadow Balls at me, healing in between them. One more turn of that and I'd have been in trouble, but not today. Misdreavus goes down, leaving only Arbok. Another stab super effective Psychic, and another one-shot. Against Lance, I'm unclear about my ranges, setting up a decoy and then 2 uses of Calm Mind. He did use some Dragon Dance and tags me with a Hyper Beam before fainting. Okay, but I'm only outsped by Aerodactyl. Let's try this. Kingdra follows, one shot with Psychic. Dragonite 1, one shot with Psychic. Aerodactyl comes out hitting Earthquake for around a third, but that's the last danger I see. He's out of here, leaving only the Ace. +2 Psychic is enough, and Psych Out is very quickly facing the final challenge in the game. I would wager that Heracross's Megahorn would one-shot me, so I don't even give him the chance. The champ sends in Alakazam next, and this is where I'll set up. His Shadow Balls deal physical damage, and while his physical attack isn't great, neither is my physical defense. They're hitting for around a third, but he seems intent on matching some of my setup. At +4, I go for it, two-shotting and being brought down to 46 health for the rest of the battle. Not good. Tyranitar faints in 1, beautiful, bringing out Arcanine. Arcanine, who knows, extreme speed, knocking out Espeon with the priority move. In the next battle, having only set up to +3 this time, I have just under half health, which seems to be outside of extreme speed range. I move first, and +3 super effective HP Water takes out the Fire Doggo. I don't have any good options against Exeggutor, trying to set up a decoy. He goes for Giga Drain, also landing a crit and breaks it immediately. I don't have enough health for another, so Psychic? And I get the one-shot. This leaves only Blastoise. I'm faster, and +3 Stab Psychic fully depletes the final health bar in this video. Espeon with Calm Mind is a force to be reckoned with, completing the game with the fewest resets and at the lowest level. Psych Out clocks in with a final time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 37 seconds at level 72 with 11 resets. This took 4 hours and 50 minutes of game time. All right, well done to all of our runners today, especially Pickle. The Round 2 League is no easy feat for a first stage Pokemon. Before diving into the final results, I want to take a quick moment to thank all of you who support the channel. Whether you're one of the generous names that you're seeing on screen right now, or if you support me by liking, commenting, and sharing my videos, I appreciate you all so much. I could not make these videos without your support. From the bottom of my shell, thank you, thank you, thank you. Since the round 1 standings, not much has changed. At the end of round 2, every runner is in exactly the same position as at the end of round 1, with Espeon being the standout run, having beaten the game over twice as quickly as the benchmark run by Eevee. If I were to come back and play them all again, I feel that I would be able to save a significant amount of time with Umbreon, Flareon, Jolteon for sure, and even Eevee. The majority of their time was spent smashing my face against battles that I didn't fully understand how to beat. Aside from optimizing my strategy and coming back with a plan for each major battle, I don't think I would make any changes in how I ran these Pokemon. Vaporeon was by far the most intuitive to use, mostly boiling down to diverse and powerful special coverage. But the power of setup moves shone through once more like the morning sun. Calm Mind, Bulk Up, Swords Dance. These moves completely change how the game is played. Even Curse, as we saw, was immensely helpful, although Curse lowering my speed gave a different kind of challenge to navigate. Today, Espeon is the clear winner, claiming the title of the best Eeveelution to complete Pokémon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four in the solo challenge format. Usually, I would come back, using the information gathered from the first runs to complete the game a second time with every Pokémon. But I have a confession to make. Optimizing and running second playthroughs was the part that I disliked most about making Pokemon content. I put way too much pressure on myself, and even at the end of scripting, narrating, and editing these initial 6 runs, I'm feeling completely creatively burned out. Plus, this video's already like 3.5 hours long. I had planned to come back and run all of these Pokemon one more time in Pokemon Heart Gold, plus Glaceon and Leafeon, the Ice and Grass Eeveelutions added in Gen 4. I am genuinely curious about how the physical special split would affect these runners, particularly Pokemon like Flareon, who couldn't fully capitalize on its massive physical attack. I'm leaving the fate of that project up to all of you. If you show this video a ton of love, I will come back and run all 8 Pokemon through Heart Gold. For now though, I have a factory that must grow. If you've watched all the way until the end of the video, stay exceptional. Until next time, much love and take care everyone.